Hello and welcome everybody. I'm Dr. Catherine Horton. Let me start with a sound check because we've experienced extreme sabotage. I'm just looking at the broadcast stream. Hang on. Okay, now it's starting up here on YouTube. Because we've experienced. Okay, I think you guys can hear me fine. That's great. I just wanted to make sure because what just happened is that, as you guys know, today I was scheduled to interview Richard Lighthouse, a former NASA engineer. And this call was completely sabotaged. And in the chat, I have explained what happened as we were going along, but it was absolutely ridiculous. So I couldn't actually get him on Google Hangouts, or we couldn't even get him Google Chrome to be able to access Google Hangouts, and the screen kept freezing over, and a lot of things happened. So long story short, we have rescheduled Richard Lighthouse for tomorrow, same time. And the original time was actually at 3 p.m. Okay, in Europe, in Central Europe. And this means 9 a.m. in the US. So tomorrow on the US East Coast, that's 9 a.m. and it's 8 a.m. You know, if you're in the middle bit of the US and the Midwest, wherever, and then 7 a.m. if you're on the West Coast, which is ridiculously early, you might think. But I already anticipate hacking and sabotage already tomorrow. So by the time you get up on a Sunday morning and have your coffee ready, we might be able to start. But what happened today was so egregious that I decided to System-Judo what just happened, and I'm going to turn a complete disaster around, and I'm going to turn it into something good, and I'm going to start a brand new series. I have now called this the Holocaust Working Group. Okay, and today's episode will be about hacking, cyber sabotage, and cyber operations. Now, the Holocaust Working Group will be a lot more fast-paced. It will be not so much the lectures or the lectures type of broadcast that's the Global Crime Fighters, where I really try to explain in forensic detail what we're dealing with. So instead, the working group broadcasts will be a lot faster, with hands-on advice of what to do right now and what to do in the next week. And I'm hoping that you guys will join me and that we'll start working together to really start shutting these criminals down as fast as we can, okay? Because as the title already says, we are in a Holocaust. I am in an individual concentration camp. I have been extremely tortured, and I really mean extremely. I was up all of last night. I usually try to do something productive when I'm being tortured, but nevertheless, it was very, very hard. So by the time I was exhausted and tired enough to even contemplate going to bed under the torture, it was 9 a.m. So I have worked throughout the last night. And then it takes you ages to get to sleep. My body was being vibrated and machine gunned. And now that I moved house, I can confirm that these assaults seem to come from satellites, okay, as well. Because I'm also being shot at from cars and from rucksacks. But now in my new home, it's also satellites. I can hear pulsed energy projectile impacts in the walls, in the roof around me, and then eventually they hit me. So yes, we are being beamed and vibrated and shot at from stuff that is above our heads. And on a clear day, it could only be very well camouflaged drones or satellites. So there we are. And this is what makes the entire interview with Richard Lighthouse just so incredibly topical, okay? Because Richard Lighthouse did a lot of research. He published several books. And for, tomorrow, I ask you to go to Google, look up Richard Lighthouse. In fact, you know what? I know you lazy gits. You're not going to do it unless I do it with you. So I want you to open a new tab now, okay? And let's do the following. In preparation for tomorrow, I want you to open Google or any other, search engine of your choosing. In fact, it's better if you don't use Google, frankly. But anyway, you type Richard Lighthouse, right? Like the lighthouse, like the beacon. You go to Richard Lighthouse author, that's his website. Okay, you can also watch many of his talks. And then I want you to go to store. Don't worry, you don't have to spend any money. You don't need a credit card. But down here, he has all his books. Okay, so you can see these are all his books, right? And I want you to go down to the section called CIA, NSA, FBI, and Deep State. Okay. Now, what Richard Lighthouse did is he published his research papers as a book. So not every single one of them is hundreds of pages, so you can read through it very quickly. But as soon as you publish it as a book, and I advise that for other researchers as well, you get an ISBN number, you know, the serial number of publications. So if you click on the arrow here, eventually you will get to a book called, hang on, where is it? Here's Psychiatric Fraud and so on. But I want you to open Air Force Space Command. That's the one with the Happy Air Force, air personnel on the front, whoever the hell that is. Okay, I haven't looked up who that is. So now it says $0. Okay, it costs you nothing. But to actually get hold of this file, you have to go to this section at the bottom. There's lots of information. Quantity, add to cart. And what you're doing is you're getting the PDF. So don't worry, this is not, you don't have to spend money. This is not a scam. You go to checkout. Okay, here, checkout. It says credit cards, but ignore all that. You don't have to enter anything. You go on to checkout and then you enter your email address because they will send you a PDF. So my email address is contact@stop007. Oops. Anyway, you know that. I don't even think you have to enter an address, but you can enter a fake address and then you click on next. And if you have to enter any sort of information for credit cards, you just keep clicking next, okay? And then eventually it says, congratulations, you purchased it for $0 and you will be sent an email with the PDF file. And if I remember, in the checkout process, you can download it immediately yourself, okay? So this is what I want you to do right now, and I want you to have a look at these documents and his research for tomorrow, because then you can prepare yourself and you will understand much better what he's talking about, okay? So this is super important that you do that and that you get your head around how to get hold of this sort of information. So and also it's especially important because this information that you will download will be immediately applicable for your court case. So you can take the PDF, and because it's in a PDF format, you can put it right in the references bundle of your court case. And Richard has already looked up all the references. He cites the references properly. And this will translate into actual compensation dollars for you. All right. So it's super important you take this seriously. And before tomorrow's call, please read it so that you can absorb the information that he has for you much better, because you already know what it's roughly about. And in anything that's new, you can, immediately pick up on. Okay. So this is what happened today. And I also would like to draw everybody's attention. If you are watching now on YouTube, okay, you have the advantage. I will also broadcast these videos on BitChute and on other platforms, including RuTube in Russia, so that I diversify. But if you're watching on YouTube right now, let me share my screen. This is what it should look like for you here. Okay, you can see me, and then here on the side, you can either activate or deactivate the chat, but I want you all to scroll up to these lots and lots of yellow markings here, okay? So now you will see yourself over and over here in a moment, but scroll up, and what I want you to do is I want you to go to this section here, all right, which has many, many messages from me, and I also list. And I ask you to screenshot that here. I say here, court bundles, please screenshot the following. All right. And then in the chat, you will find 5 points. And I explain the type of hacking that Richard just experienced here. Okay. So first, this is, his download of Google Chrome was stalled. It was a type of stalling. Anyway, I will stop the sharing the screen because otherwise we end up with these endless windows. But what I want you to do is I want you to screenshot the messages I put into the live chat. And the reason why I want you to screenshot, okay, by the way, you screenshot if you're on a Windows machine by pressing Control, hold it down, and then press the button that says print, okay? And then you take a screenshot, and then you open the, I think a little program called Paint. If you open the menu, probably at the bottom of your screen, and then you see the listing of your programs, look for one that is called Paint. It's one of the accessories, accessory programs that comes with Windows. You open Paint, just a new Paint window, and then you press Control V, that's paste, Control V, and then you paste in the screenshot, okay? And in that format, you can then save the file as, I think, typically a PNG. All right, this is how you screenshot, guys. This is a skill you need to pick up quickly. So Control Print on Windows, open Paint, Control V to paste the image that you've stored into memory into an actual Paint application that can then store it as a PNG, as an image file. All right, so this is what you do. And you do that because it's important court evidence what happened today, all right? So I already was massively sabotaged and tortured, as I said in the beginning. Then I came online and I was trying to work with Richard, and it turned out that he couldn't even download Google Chrome. Okay, and there was, I think, 5 steps of sabotage, different types of sabotage that the intelligence agencies did. And every type of hacking and sabotage that Richard reported, I had already experienced myself. And I knew from the old Techno Crime Fighters broadcasts that my former colleagues had also experienced all of those. Every single one he named, I already knew. So this meant that it was an actual set piece program hacking tool that GCHQ and NSA were using, well, NSA in his case, because his laptop is in the US. And it's an actual hacking tool that these little minions, and these little, as I call them, well, you know what I call them, used to hack individual computers. And it's the same thing. It's done, a million times. Once you have a little black box hacking tool, every last retarded little moron can use that. Every gang stalker, every kid. So this is why we're all seeing the same stuff. This was software developed by the intelligence agencies and then just shipped to all of their, criminal idiots around the country, and they can individually attack computers. Now, today was very serious because he's a former NASA engineer. I'm a former CERN scientist. The call that we're about to launch was about satellite systems controlled from an Air Force base. It's Schriever Air Force Base that has been identified as the heart of this criminal operation, or one of the hearts certainly, from which the satellite systems are being controlled that assault people around the world. So if you're being machine gunned in bed or at your desk, right, or out on the street, it's probably being controlled from Schriever Air Force Base. Big deal, right? And he also published the names of the people who had direct knowledge of the operations, right? They are in the chain of fucking command, okay? And this means they have a direct liability in court. In fact, because it's high treason, they are liable with their personal assets for the damages that they have caused, because this is not what the American people have tasked their government to do. The American people certainly didn't say, you know what, we need an Air Force base that will then machine gun us and our children to death. No. So it is high treason, it is highly criminal, and this means that, of course, the NSA is financially liable for the damages, and the Air Force, by the way, but also them personally. All right, so this means that all the accrued savings and assets and, the home and the car and everything that these criminals own actually transfers into the property of the state to pay and will be sold off to pay for the damages of the victims. Big deal, right? And more importantly, if you are being assaulted abroad, according to international law, these are criminal operations contravening the Geneva Conventions. Right. So you also, as a non-criminal civilian operator, you can sue the Air Force, which, by the way, is a private corporation. Right. It's a registered company. It's not a government thing, just like NSA is a for-profit company. That's a game changer. It means that you can apply to a U.S. court and you are suing a U.S. corporation, like a U.S. company, right? Like the Air Force or the NSA in a US court. Big deal. All right? Big deal. This is why today's call was just a bit too close to these people's testicles, right? And that's why they had to sabotage the call. But anyway, And this is the background. This is why it's so important, because it's these satellite systems, and Air Force Base Schriever is actually the last, or I would say the last missing piece for court cases to really finish these guys off. And once we have Schriever AFB, we can also look for other control centers, because I'm pretty sure that there must be many more control centers around the world. Typically, you look for redundancy, as it's called in engineering. You're looking for backup systems, right? You're looking for decentralized systems if you really want to build up warfare operations. And I'm pretty sure that Switzerland here right now, where I'm sitting, is also heavily involved, because they are the biggest interconnected bunker system in Europe. Switzerland is actually one big fat military bunker. So I am pretty sure that they will have exactly the same satellite controls that AFB Schriever has, right? And we're about to prove that. We are on their trails. This is what the entire investigation is about. But understand that these are live investigations. You're watching it live, right? And this is a live Holocaust, because I have been machine gunned to bits last night. I only went to bed at 9 a.m. in the morning because I couldn't sleep, because of a combination of machine gunning from satellite into my body that whacked, loud shots into the walls and objects around me. And it was combined with direct close contact torture of my body with the chips that I certainly have on my scalp, and I suspect I also have in my brain. All right. If you're new to these broadcasts and you think, whoa, satellite systems, chips, brain chips, oh my God, this is a bit too spooky. Well, I'm sorry, that's reality. There's already books published on this. Okay. If you're new to these broadcasts and you literally just have WTF written across your face, I can point you to one thing. I ask you to open a tab right now with me. And I ask you, let me show you that I'm not making this shit up. Let's go to Amazon.com, okay? And I ask you to type in global, yes, you heard right, global brain chip and Mesogens. Oops, Mesogens. And it should bring up this book, which you can get for $10. You don't have to use Amazon, by the way, use any other platform to diversify. And this is a book written by Dr. Hildegard Stanninger, and I will go on to the look inside. I'm not sure if I can show you, but inside the book, you can already see it's pointing to the Obama's Brain Initiative, okay? But further down in the book, on pages that are unfortunately, well, not shown on Amazon, but that are there, you can see actual pictures, okay, guys? Actual images, actual photographs of brain chips operated out of victims. Okay, so if you or your mom or your granny who's seeing this thinks, what the fuck, this can't be real, I'm sorry, spend $10, get the book, and Dr. Stanninger published photographs of brain chips. Unfortunately, I think I don't have the book on me, but I've showed it in the past, and I can show it at the next Holocaust Working Group, okay? Now, the point is, these are brain chips that have been put into us without our knowledge, but they're combined with chips on the scalp. They're interfacing with the satellite systems, with the mobile phone towers, and with little near-field communication devices hidden in mobile phones, okay? So that's what we're dealing with. And then one thing I can say is that when you have these head chips, I already heard that when I first moved in, they were sampling the house statistically. So I could suddenly hear shots all around me, and eventually they would hit me in the head. Now, what this was is that they were shooting, and it's called satellite calibration. You don't know how the rooms actually map, because the only thing you see is the roof, and you want to hit somebody inside the home in their bed. How do you do that? Well, you can do it very easily if this person is implanted like I am and like I've documented online, okay? Because then you're just machine gunning this area. Statistically, you're just sampling points, and eventually when you hit the person, their chips notice, oh, we've just been hit with a massive amount of energy, and they can communicate this through the mobile phone system, through the Wi-Fi if you have it enabled. And then that's being read out through this integrated warfare system. And suddenly my chips that were just hit say, okay, success. And if you keep doing that over weeks and months, and especially at night, you can map out where people's beds are. You can machine gun them at night. So right now the machine gunning is so heavy. I have the back of a magnetic whiteboard above me. I literally have a 2 meter by 1 meter 20 whiteboard above my head when I'm sleeping. On top of that, I've got several sheets of iron, so steel, okay, steel and aluminium of varying thickness, and it's not enough to block out these shots, okay? So Richard Lighthouse also explained that these new waveforms, he found the actual documentation of the military, they can go through, I think, I knew that they can go through feet of steel, but he had a number that was even more mind-blowing, okay? And I was hoping that he can show you, he can point us to the military documents, because then we take the PDFs, we put them straight into our court bundle, and we're going right to court against these bastards, okay? So this is what this entire story is about. And when you understand how this hangs together, right, you understand, okay, I can already prove that people have chips. I showed you the bug detector measurements. We can measure the RF emissions, okay? People have already documented the gang stalkers pointing phones at them. Now, that's the near-field communication, okay? The near-field communication antennas in the mobile phones that can then interface with your chips, okay? I already published on my website in the research library a scientific document that, you know, it's a scientific discussion about these body area networks. That's the entire internet of your chips, the mini internet on your body with these chips interfacing. That's the body area network. And I published how that's already in the scientific paper shown to interface with the WLAN. Okay, I realized there are new people. So let me just share my screen and take you to my website so that you know I'm not making this shit up. Go to my website, stop007.org, go to the research library here, and then scroll down here to this document called Body Area Networks. That is a scientific paper for those people who are new, called Communication Challenges in On-Body and Body-to-Body Wearable Wireless Networks. Wearable sounds like it's your Fitbit, okay? It is not. It is the chip in you that you don't know anything about. And I can prove that to you because the actual diagram they show here, okay, shows not just a Fitbit, it shows several chips. Why the hell would you have, you know, a chip in your ankles? Okay, but if you're a victim of the intelligence agencies, you do have a chip in your shoulder, one in your wrist, and then in your ankles, and your feet, and your head, and in many other places like your knees. So that's what this is about, okay? And these guys, they are so past the single body area network, they are now talking about body-to-body networks. It means that hacks and you know, other stuff can literally hop from chip to chip and from person to person. This is the Internet of Things, guys. But what the crime cartel didn't tell you, it's that the full title is the Internet of Things in your body. Okay, they kind of left that out. But this is what we're talking about. Now, here you can already see that this is interfacing with external networks like Wi-Fi, WSN, and so on. Whatever the hell WSN is. I don't even know that acronym, but I assume it's some WLAN thing, whatever. And down here, you can see the full list of the frequencies and the licensed communication protocols. So here you can see that IEEE is involved. They are involved in this. They have a special, IEEE has a special band standard. What the fuck, you might ask? Yeah, what the precise fuck, indeed. Okay, so in other words, we already have evidence here that IEEE is involved, okay? We already have evidence here that the Wi-Fi network is involved. There's Dr. Barry Trower, who is public about Dr. Barry Trower is public about the mobile phone networks. He doesn't talk so much about chips. He talks about us being beamed from mobile phone towers. But, you know, when you put one and one together, you understand, okay? So he's not a chip expert. I'm not sure if he even mentions chips, but I can tell you every victim I scanned was loaded with chips, okay? So now we have the chips, we've got the Wi-Fi, we've got the mobile phone towers. What's missing? It's the satellites, okay? And it's precisely Richard Lighthouse's research that is the satellite bit. And once you have the satellite, you have the Space Command by the balls, and you have the Air Force by the balls, and we're going straight into court. Okay. And in fact, the space-based weapons might just be the most powerful. Okay. Because once you're up in space in a satellite and you can machine gun the population, that's bad. Okay. It means that they can machine gun all of us. If you're living in the basement of a 3-story building, apparently you can still be machine gunned, you know, and as can be everybody above you. So anybody who isn't in an underground military bunker is in danger. Okay. Now, on top of that, we've got the Wi-Fi, which is ubiquitous. We've got the mobile phones, which is ubiquitous. Okay, and we have these roving death squads with assault weapons in their cars, and gang stalkers with assault weapons in their rucksacks, and they're also ubiquitous. So this is what we're dealing with. And it is now gone to the active shooting phase, okay? The satellites are shooting at us. The mobile phones are shooting at us. And by the way, 5G is a pulsed system, a focused pulse system. It's fundamentally different from 4G and 3G, okay? Calling it 5G in the series of 3 and 4G was a marketing ploy, so that you think it's just more powerful or better or faster internet. No, it's not. It's a fundamentally different weapon system, okay? So you need to know this sort of stuff. If you want to, you know, start working against the Holocaust, you need to wisen up about about these things, okay? So once we're in my research library and I'm talking about 5G, let's kick this off. Go back to the research library. That's this thing here. Scroll down to the very bottom, I think. Yeah, no, not the very bottom. It's kind of like 2/3 down. It says 5G and its dangers. And I've posted here a presentation by an expert from the German weapons manufacturer, Rohde and Schwarz. They are also they also manufacture measuring devices, but their big money is earned in weapon systems. Okay, so we've got a guy from a weapon system manufacturer talking about 5G. So this presentation is highly technical, but he explains that 5G is fundamentally different. And if you scroll down, hang on, let me find it here. This is it, okay? Beam forming, this is what they call it. And they call them, I think they call them phased arrays, which to me sounds like, you know, a kind of laser. So in other words, you know, you are being shot at and your devices are being beamed by focused pulsed beams. This is what the beam forming is about, okay? Here. And they are being beamed with these pulses. This is fundamentally different from the old mobile phone systems. I'm not sure if he's got the diagram. I'm just scrolling down. No, he doesn't. I mean, you can see it's highly technical. He explains the beam shape and so on. Here. Okay, so in the olden days, you had the 4 and 3 and 4G look like the little icon here, okay? It's kind of radially going out, these circles, you know? This is the typical symbol because that's precisely how the waves looked in the olden days. It's kind of concentric waves going out, okay? When you have this sort of wave, according to the laws of physics, the intensity falls off as 1 over the square of the distance. It means that if you are twice as far removed from a mobile phone antenna, you get 1/4. 1 divided by 2 square is 1/4. You just get 1/4, a quarter, or 25% of the radiation. If you double your distance, it drops down to a quarter. Now, with this new system, if you double your distance, you're still just fucked because it's a focused beam with an infinite range. And the energy doesn't dissipate over the ever larger, you know, spherical area here. No, the energy hits you right in your face. That's what it means, okay? Now, this is now the new 5G, okay? And this is why you have to understand this stuff, guys, even if you're not technical. I mean, I understand that some of you are struggling. I understand it very well because I taught physics at Oxford, okay? So I've been my job was to make people understand how this complicated stuff works. And I understand that you're all shying away and you think, oh my God, I used to be shit at physics and maths. I don't understand this stuff. But I'm sorry, you need to understand this stuff because they're trying to kill you. And they're using the fact that you don't understand maths and physics to kill you in a way that you don't notice. Okay, so just understand, if you have the old 3 and 4G, you get this kind of drop off, which is why they had to have these 3 and 4G antennas roughly every 500 meters to every 1 kilometer, roughly. Okay, or maybe it's 3 kilometers, the longest distance that they can have. They can broadcast. Okay, but if you are, you try to pick up the signal at 3 kilometers away from a mobile phone antenna, okay, you have a very weak signal. Now, with the new system, it doesn't matter if you're 1 kilometer or 3 kilometers away, you have a really intensive system. It just hits you. But here's now the but. Because it's a focused beam, right, any sort of obstruction in its way will be reducing the intensity. You can punch through 1 or 2 walls, but you can only play this game so much. So with the 5G, what they have to do, because it's a focused beam, a pulsed beam, they have to put the 5G emitters at exactly, I think, 50 meters, every 50 meters. All right. So it means that if you have a house, I think a house is typically what, like 40 meters in length, you will have a 5G antenna either side of your house. That's what it means. How the hell can they do that? Well, they do that by hiding these 5G antennas that are fairly small in things like overhead lights, in street lights. People reported being shot in the head from street lights. How can that be? Well, it can be if you've got a pulsed, antenna array in there. All right, so that's the 5G. Now, sorry, that's the lamps, okay? They hid it in lamps, they hid it behind street signs, they hid it basically anywhere where you've got a bit of metal, right? Or where you can hide a power supply. They also hid it in trees. So people who report or feel that they're being hit from trees, look if there's not a 5G antenna. Try to find an online map if they show where the 5G antennas are, and check carefully if maybe one isn't hidden up in a tree somewhere. All right, because they do this stuff. They want to get up high and so that they can broadcast and beam everywhere. Now, as you can imagine, being pulsed and shot in the head by these pulses just because people hold a mobile phone and are trying to have a conversation as they pass you is not healthy. That's precisely right. And beside that, 5G is an integrated weapon system. So this is what the discussion is about. So we have the 5G, and now tomorrow we'll have Richard Lighthouse explaining us all about the satellites. Super important. So tune in, okay? And I ask you to please, today is a Saturday, most of you are not working. Some of you are, I'm sorry. But, please educate yourself. Don't watch films in the evenings, because while you're watching films, they are killing you and your children. You need to start doing homework, okay? You need to get back into it and wisen up about this stuff. So much about the satellite systems and, what Richard is going to talk about tomorrow. Now I want to switch about what happened today, because this is not just because, it's, Richard and me. No, it's because it's the identical tools will be applied to you when you are trying to talk to your family, or when you are trying to launch your own broadcasts, or when you want to try to go online. So today I want to go step by step, and I want to go through all the different tools that they are using, okay? And I want to explain to you what to do about all these hacks. Sometimes you can't block them, but you can certainly, try to work around them. So just 1 second, I just have to bring up a couple of things. Because I found most links, but I haven't found all in the time that I had. Okay, so let me just, okay. So let's go through one by one. So one of the things I ask you to do right now is go into the chat and read the 5 types of sabotage that I have just posted and that happened to us today. Okay, just a second. Just one moment. please read it and please screenshot it. Use this little break to do that. Okay, so let's start. So we have these 5 types of hacking, all right? And number one, the very first one was that the download is stalling. Okay, so let's say you want to launch your own broadcasts, and you want to start your own Google Hangouts, and then they do the same thing to you as well. Okay, so now what to do about this? So the way it looked, Richard said, is that you go to you look up Google Chrome, you go to download in your browser, you hit the download, and it starts to download. So your browser notifies you that the download is in progress, and then it just freezes. It just goes, mwah, that's it, it doesn't progress. So what can you do? Now, my personal experience with this sort of stuff is that they are somehow blocking the download. They are blocking the actual connection between you and whatever's sending the packets. Okay, they can just put themselves in between. Now, depending on how sophisticated and how determined they are, sometimes you can work around it, and sometimes you really cannot, And so what you can do, I'll try to go step by step. If one method doesn't work for you, then just move to the next. And if you never experienced this, please listen, because as I'm talking, you bit by bit understand how this whole stuff works, okay? So you wisen up and you learn more, all right? But eventually, I want you all to come online, and I want you all to have your own shows and reports and so on, because we need you all. So it's important that you listen right now, all right? So number one, what do? You just download something, the download freezes, and it doesn't progress. Let's say you got to 15% of the download, and it's just sitting there and it's hanging there. So the first thing to realize is that your computer, the connection between the other side and you, has so many moving parts, right, that it's like almost endless, right? If you don't know anything about computers and you can't do detailed forensics, it could be so many things, right? But overall, there are some big things you have to understand. One computer is sending information to another computer, right? This is the basic thing of the download, all right? So there has to be a continuous connection between the two computers, right? This computer that you're downloading from is sending packets bit by bit, every % of your download, and these packets have to arrive, and they have to also be, the download has to figure out, okay, which packet is it? How does it all fit together? And the way the information is being sent over the internet is not just, okay, this packet goes through this cable directly to you. No, it's being split up, and it's being sent over so many paths. It might go to, it bounces down to Florida, then it goes to Russia, then to Germany, and then to you. In an alternative path, it might just go to France, and then to Greece, and then to somewhere else, and then to you. Or it's being bounced around internally within the US. You literally have no idea. And these computers work out which packet is what, in what order should I put this together so that I get an executable at the end. This is how it works. So complex, no? Okay, so now anywhere in between, you can have programs, disrupting this entire process. You can disrupt the actual communication with computers. You can spoof, computer IDs, and you can say, oh, the receiving computer has just gone offline. No point sending the packets. You can change these packet IDs. You can just fuck it up in so many different ways. It's incredible. Okay, so if you don't know anything about computers, don't even try to do detailed forensics, or your head will explode. Instead, try some set pieces, okay, and you try to get it to work. And if you can't, you either try to get some tech support, or else, if you can't, you can just try another day when, whoever's sitting on your computer has gone off, and does something else and not bothering you. So sometimes problems that you have go away a day later simply because the agents are doing something else, okay? Or you're not that high a target anymore for whatever reason. So sometimes waiting helps, okay? And then if you can't do anything and the problem persists, what you can do, if it's really a block, well, then at least get the evidence, take screenshots, or, you know, some people who are a bit more sophisticated have software with which they can film their screen. All right, they film the screen. You can literally film how you're clicking on things and how things are stalling. And if you can't do something, at least take a screenshot, or if you're a bit better equipped, make a film about the hack. Make a film about what you cannot do, okay? And then put that into your court bundle. So you can burn videos onto a CD and submit it along in your court file. That's totally fine. But whatever you do, you either get it to work or you learn something and you certainly collect the evidence. And I want you all to get it into your head that you do these things. Always, always, always. You keep trying, you learn, and then eventually collect evidence. So only with the collecting the evidence step do we really cause them damage, okay? The more stuff they pull off, the more of their little shitty hacking tools we're going to document, and then we're going to, you know, group different types of hacks together, and then we'll figure out how they did every single one of them, and then we get them. This is the plan. But for that, we need the evidence. So the evidence is even more important sometimes than getting things to work. So for example, today, and this is what I mean by System-Judo, okay? You take the inertia of their massive, uber powerful, uber rich operations, and you take their inertia, they have to keep going, they can't change directions, and you bring them to a fall, all right? And I can predict that they are so inert. If I announce today that you guys should start collecting evidence, they cannot change their operations within the 10, 20 minutes. They cannot change their operations within the next year. So this means between now and the next year, every bullshit they pull off, we're just clocking up the evidence. Clock. More and more people will see the same tools being used against them. More and more evidence accrues. We have stronger and stronger cases in court. And, you know, the management of NSA and GCHQ are more and more liable for financial damages. And you also have to know that your financial damages include your working hours that you wasted trying to get this to work. It's financial damages, it's economic damages that they are also liable for. So you should decide what your hourly wage is, and you should write down how many hours you wasted on computer sabotage and, you know, being tortured and all this sort of dead time. And then we hand them the bill, okay? Because it is not okay that they make us work unpaid. They come onto our computers that we have purchased. It's our interconnection that we paid a subscription for. Then they make us work to undo their sabotage, right? Now, this is not on. So what's happening right now is that today is the start of the working group. You all know now that you need to collect evidence and you need to write down the number of hours you wasted on hacking. You need to document it. And if you take screenshots, you have the timestamp of the screenshot. If you take videos, you've got the timestamp of the video. You can prove that that day you had to struggle with that type of hacking, okay? And I tell you, these hacking tools are so obvious that when you hear victim cases over and over, you will see the same stuff being pulled off. And we just need, I think maybe it's already in the Snowden leaks, which software that might be, but we'll find that out, okay? And we can prove it's that hacking tool developed by these people, and here's our bills, by the way. So literally within a week, we're talking about billions of dollars in damages from people around the world. Great, isn't it? So this is what we have to do. Now, let's get down to it. You are trying to download something and your download freezes. What the fuck to do? Number one, this should be really number one. Check how much free space you have on your hard drive. Okay, this sounds patronizing and obvious, but I'm not saying it because I think you're so stupid you would fill up your hard drive and not notice. No, because typically when it's a lack of hard drive space, sometimes the download doesn't tell you. It just freezes. And the reason the download doesn't tell you is because Intel got onto your computer and monopolized memory space in a very sophisticated way that the process just goes, I've run out of storage space, but it looks like, oh, storage space might be freed up soon. So working memory will be freed up soon, just wait. And these software programs seem to be put into the wait phase So actually they haven't frozen. They're just waiting for working memory to be released, and it's never being released. So they're just sitting there and waiting. So that's a software exploit that I've seen in action, okay? Now, if you have these sort of issues, number one, check the memory on your hard drive, okay? The working memory is a bit more complex to check, but, you know, there you are. And there are two ways to do that. Number one, and this is the really easiest thing, what you do is you open one of these file directories, okay? So let me share my screen, okay? And this now here is an empty folder. This is now the file directory, okay? And every one of you here on the sidebar should have these instances like downloads, documents, pictures, music. If you're using Windows, that is. This is now a Windows machine. I want you all to go to this PC and have a look at this. This is now my operating system. And you can see that here I've got 1 GB free of 70. You can see how pissing small this storage space is on this machine, which in this case is intentional for this machine, but doesn't matter. I still have a gigabyte. Okay, actually it should be 4 GB and more, but that's because they're hogging my memory. But for you, for example, for Richard, suddenly it was 250 megabytes. 250 megabytes on his machine that has much more storage space than mine. This means they are hogging it, okay? They are hogging the memory space. So this is the first thing you do, all right? Now, the other thing that you can do is that if you're on a Windows machine, okay, if you're on a Mac, I'm sorry, you're on your own. You should have excellent tech support. That's why you pay the premium for those fucking machines, right? So your problem. And if you're using Linux, right, a Unix-based system, well, you're probably such a pro, you can figure this shit out and you don't need me to tell you. So anyway, this is for the Windows people. The alternative that you can use is you press Control-Alt-Delete, Control-Alt-Delete, and then it opens up typically the task manager. So on modern Windows operating systems, you get a blue screen and the bottom one says task manager. Click on that, and then you can see all the processes currently running on your computer. Now, be super careful with just killing random processes that you don't recognize the name of, because it could be a Windows process that the operating system needs to run. Okay, so don't just point at stuff and say, oh, that must be a hack, you know. It could be just some bullshit process run by Windows. So, but what you certainly can do is you can take these processes and list them by the percentage of memory that they're using. And the typical process shouldn't really use more than, 1 or 2% of working memory if you have a modern machine. If you suddenly see processes using 25 or 56% of your working memory, then that means they are really hogging something. They can, bring your system to a halt. So what you do is you identify the process. No Windows process should ever use something like 25 on, 56% of your working memory or more. Never, ever, ever. So what you do is you kill the process. You just hover with your mouse over the process in the task list. And super easy once you open it. Okay, I can't do it here because I lose the connection. Okay, so you hover over it, you do a right click, and you select end task. And whatever's hogging the memory, poof, should just disappear. And typically, you can then go back to perfectly working order. So these are processes that are hogging your working memory. There are processes hogging your hard drive space. And that's what you check when you open up a file browser, and it says under this PC, oh, you only have, 256 megabytes. That's your hard drive. And then the other things are your working memory, And you can do the same thing with CPU and processing power, okay? So all these parameters, as soon as it's really start hogging stuff, that's why your computer is freezing, because they're totally overloading the processor, okay? And you just kill the process, whatever the hell it is. And if it keeps coming back, you might have to sign up for tech support, and they have to go and remove this by hand, they can access your computer remotely, just like the NSA, and they can tidy up your computer. So, I know that I think Ramola used this service, and it was excellent. It really, after she had them clean her computer. So you just call up tech support and say, look, I'm paying you whatever, $50 here, please do a clean out of my computer. They'll connect to your computer over the internet. And yes, of course, they can put on, hacking tools. But then again, NSA can put on hacking tools, and they already have, and that's your biggest problem. And curiously enough, if you use standard tech support and they do a random clean out of your computer, it can actually get rid of some of the worst hacking, which implies that the NSA isn't that sophisticated at the end of the day, okay? They might have some sophisticated stuff, but the bread and butter seems to be pretty easy shit that, tech support can pick up by now. So that's good to know. Don't despair. There's always something you can do. So this is the freezing. The other thing, another secret tip that really helps a lot is to use the Tor browser or switch to the Tor browser when everything else freezes up. So you can use the Tor browser all the time if you please, right? And I did for a time, but it was a bit too slow. And in the end, I thought, I've got the Intel agency sitting on my computer anyway. So what the hell am I, trying to run circles here? So what you can do, the Tor browser, right? So what it does, it's kind of, taking your packets and the addresses that are visible to servers where these packets are being sent, and they're putting computers in between, okay? So in the olden days, the sort of Tor system is what, you might have seen in films when they pretend the police is trying to track back a phone call or computer, malicious computer, and then they are, going back and they can see how it's hopping from one country to the next. Well, these are the different servers that were in the line of communication. And it was a very kind of like, how to put it? It was like a cartoony image of how the system kind of worked, but really didn't work like that at all. But you get the idea, okay? So the Tor browser, that's pretty much that. It kind of obscures where you are and where the packets are sent by putting computers in between. So for example, sorry, I have to say that. I'm probably not allowed to say that publicly. But if you're in the UK and you want, or if you're outside the UK and you want to watch British television on over the internet, right? Because I don't know what, they have some series you really like and it's only being broadcast by the BBC. Well, the BBC has a license fee and they don't allow you to watch these things unless you're in the UK and you have paid the license fee. Now, apart from the fact that from an economic and business plan point of view, that's a total shot in the ass, because you're missing out on all the people in India and Australia who would love to watch the BBC program and then buy the DVDs. You can make so much money. For some reason, they haven't gotten their head around it, so they block it. What you can do is you can get the Tor browser and you can force the Tor browser to have the last server, the exit node, to be a computer in the UK. And then, the only thing the BBC service can see is, okay, I'm sending packets to a computer in the UK. It's fine. It's within the UK. But in actual fact, this computer in the UK sends packets to wherever the hell you are, over 3 or 4 computers. Okay. Now, these days, I think the BBC has wisened up to that. So they publish all the lists of computer IPs that are part of the Tor network, and they just block you. So you're using Tor, you have your exit node in the UK, and they say, you're abroad, bye. Which kind of implies that GCHQ has now penetrated the Tor system and it's not really worth anything. So they've sold it commercially to the BBC, So, but anyway, practically, if you guys have a download that's freezing, or also if you have a website that you want to access and it says you have error 404 and it says, sorry, the website is not accessible, if you use Tor, and suddenly it looks like your computer is not your computer, suddenly, magically, everything works. And that implies that it is a discriminating, targeted hack against you and your computer IP address, okay? And you can get around that by using Tor. Now, how the hell do you do that? It's super easy. It's so easy that it's stupid, okay? So all these tricks, are things that your grandma can do, even if she hates computers. So you do the following. All right, let me share my screen. So to explain to you how you can pull this trick, just a second. So you go to Google. Okay, let's start with Google. And in fact, I advise you to download the Tor browser anyway. It is a simple, I think it's Firefox based, nothing bad. It just has these add-ons that allow you to get around, work around hacking. So you go to Google, you type in the Tor browser, which is spelled T-O-R, all right? And you're looking for this logo here, the Tor browser, the Tor project. So you can either click on this or download Tor, it doesn't matter. So this is the Tor browser here, all right? And the Onion, it's called an Onion router, all right? So Onion, because it has many, many layers, is this entire structure, okay? You have many, many layers of computers obscuring your real IP. So you go to this website and then you select your operating system, okay, here. You just press download and you download it like any other software. When it has finished downloading, okay, of course, the download can stall, right? Haha, yeah. But one day you can get the download to work. It's not that hard. You just download this thing and then you double click the executable that you have downloaded, and then it installs itself. And once it has installed itself, what you will have on your operating system, hang on, I think if I go down to under T, probably, where the hell is my, yeah, sorry, somewhere here under these lists and lists of stupid bits of software, you get this icon. Oh, there, here, start the Tor browser. You get a little globe with green countries here. You click on this Tor browser, right? And this is what the Tor browser looks like. It's just like Firefox, guys. It's the same. It's the same thing. The only difference is that when it opens up, it's connecting to the Tor network. These are interconnected, well, that's interconnected. You know what I mean? These are servers that know of each other and form a network, okay? And it is over this network that your packets are being sent. So you can see it's now connected to the Tor network, and this is what it looks like. All right, here we are. And it's just like a normal browser. So you can go here, you know, into there, and I can type in stop007.org and open up any page. It works exactly the same way. It's a bit slower, just a bit slower, because it has to send your packets over this network. And now the thing is that you have a choice. Do you want to have scripts enabled or scripts disabled? So when you have the scripts disabled, which is the default setting, some of the gimmicky JavaScript doesn't work. So what you do then is you just say here, temporarily allow this page, and then you have all your JavaScript gimmicks just as before. This is just an extra precaution, okay? Because there's stuff that can be sent over the scripts that can access your computer, all right? But now, when you have this, what's the trick? Let's say you were trying to connect to my website and it didn't work, and you got a fraudulent 404 message. You open the Tor browser and you type the same URL, and typically that already solves the problem. If it doesn't solve the problem, I found that if you click, this is the onion symbol here, right? You click on this and it shows you this is your Tor circuit for this site. So this means I'm now connecting to the server that sends me my website information. I'm going via this browser to the United Kingdom, to Latvia, to the United States, hello NSA, and then back to the internet. And then I get the get this browser, okay? Now, what I just explained to you about the UK and you know, cheating the BBC license block is you can set the last exit node, which here is the United States, okay, to be the United Kingdom, like this one, okay, this node. And then in the olden days, before they knew that the Tor network computers, you could say, okay, this is really in the United Kingdom. So this is what I was talking about. It's these hops from servers in different countries. Now, if you're bringing up a website and it doesn't work because these little shitters have just sabotaged your internet connection. You open Tor and you type the same URL. If it still doesn't work, don't despair. The only thing you do is you click on the onion and you say new identity or new Tor circuit for the site. I would say let's click on new Tor circuit. You can see it's reloading. It's now opening the page again. But now if I click here, the Tor circuit is now UK, Germany instead of Latvia to the United States. And you can keep playing this game. I just keep clicking, okay? And now the Tor circuit is UK, Canada, United States. And sorry, I just realized that the starting node is always UK and the end node is always US. And I think I might have played around with the entry and exit nodes. There's a file where you can fix what they should be. And I think I fixed that. So anyway, typically if you play around, you know, and you keep clicking new Tor circuit for the site, you will get yeah, you could see it switch. Now it's UK, US. Let's do it again. Let's do it again so that you can see it switch. It's now UK, Netherlands, US. There we are. So I'm going GCHQ, Netherlands, NSA. Well, in actual fact, I go NSA, 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 but that aside. So curiously, if I reroute the packets and suddenly it doesn't look like my computer again anymore, I can get websites to work that previously looked like they were offline. So that's good to know, isn't it? So what this means is that they were trying to bullshit me and I bullshitted them back, and they couldn't track my packets anymore, so they couldn't interpose themselves anymore. And I think the last time I tried that this worked was, I think 2 months ago, where really somebody sent me a link, and it was a standard link. It wasn't like to a dodgy server. It was just something, a normal news site, and it should have worked. And I couldn't get the article. And the article was, as you can imagine, something really incriminating for the intelligence agencies. So they suddenly showed up and it said 0404, or it said something like, oh, the website doesn't exist. I thought, bullshit, motherfuckers, because somebody just told me that they've looked at this page. So I opened Tor and I tried again and it didn't work. And I thought, let's just keep going. So I played around with entry and exit nodes, and I think this is where, you know, I fixed this. And I thought, what if I look like I'm not Dr. Catherine Horton in Switzerland? What if I look like I'm in the US and I'm going from GCHQ domain to the US? And this is why I fixed UK and US, and ta-da, the website suddenly appeared and everything was fine. So these are the sort of games that you can play with them, and playing with the NSA and GCHQ is actually surprisingly easy because there are other people, excellent white hat hackers, who have made available things like Tor and other stuff. So that's what you can do. Now, we got to the first bit, okay? This is the downloader stalling. Now, what do you do if software doesn't install? So again, what you can do is that you either download it again, this is the standard thing, but make sure you remove the previous executable. You can also open in on Windows computers, you go to the control center, so you click the button at the bottom, right, the Windows symbol, and then you have the little wheel, and that is settings, and under settings you select software, and there's a bit where it says uninstall software, so install and uninstall. So you check that the software that you're trying to install hasn't already been installed, okay? And if it has already been installed, you deinstall it, so that all the different tentacles are cleaned out, and you install it again. It's super easy. If you open the controls, it's super easy. Let's see if I can find it on the quick. So you go to settings, then I think it's system, and apps and features these days. So it's loading and loading. Hang on, I can show you. Yes, okay, so okay, so let me show you. Let me share my screen, how you can play around with this sort of stuff. So what I did, okay, what I did is, let me close this. To get this window, you go to the Windows symbol down here, you click on it, you get the little wheel, settings, right, which is this thing. Now the home page of the settings, the thing that should come up for you is this. You click on system because it's something to do with your system, and then you select apps and features. And this brings up the entire list of all these bits of software that you have installed, right? And it also shows you how much space they're hogging. Okay, but this is just the software itself. It could actually, when it's running, it can be hogging much, much more. And then from here, you can uninstall programs. I'm not going to do that right now because I need these programs, but you get the idea. Okay, so you can just go around, you go and sniff around your computer and you try to find the software. Sorry, am I still sharing my screen? No. Okay, so this is what you can do, right? So the point is you just make a clean and deinstall, and every software doesn't just have the executable. So don't just delete the executable and think, okay, that's removed it. No, because what these programs do when they install themselves is that they put the different tentacles that they need for operations into different subfolders all across your system. Okay, the people who work with Unix computers know this, how this works, but the people, you know, on Windows computers, you're just being shown a black box and you don't understand what the computers do in the background. But they put different bits and little, you know, things and programs and little scripts everywhere. And it's kind of like a systematic way so that these software programs keep track and don't kind of interfere with each other. So there's a system behind this, so they spread out. And if you just remove the executable, the tentacles are still there, you know? So you have done nothing. So what you need to do is you need to keep the executable and use Windows to remove the system, because then it should clean it out properly. And then you can try to reinstall. So if it still doesn't work, okay, you have enough space and you're trying to install it and it doesn't allow you to install it, I ask you to take a screenshot of the error message or whatever. Or if you're more sophisticated, launch your video recording program, record your screen as you're trying to install. You can typically connect a microphone and you can actually run a commentary. You can explain, now I'm trying to install this. Look, it's just, you know, the little clock or the little, you know, it just keeps whirling, it's processing and it never gets anywhere. And then you film that for the 2 or 5 minutes, it's just whirling and not getting anywhere, and that's your evidence. Literally, that is your evidence for court. That is totally fine, okay? Because it shows that for whatever reason, your Windows computer was not working as it should. Now, these days, computers are very unified, and there are very few things that you can do as a user, especially if you're using Windows. So if you're just, you know, Joe Blogs and you're not a computer hacker, and it's clear that you're not a computer hacker, or you're just, you know, I don't know, a single mom, no one in court can claim that, oh, you must have hacked the computer yourself. Nonsense. If you bought a computer and you used it and you want to do something important and it doesn't work, and it doesn't work in a very telling sort of way, and there are no obvious reasons why it shouldn't work, it's probably hacking. Okay? Sorry, that's just how it is, especially if you are a target. If you're a whistleblower, or if you're a victim of the intelligence agencies, or if you've experienced gang stalking, it means you're a target. And it means that they are already sitting on your computer and they're fucking you around. All right? Doesn't matter. Then you try to record it. If the recording, you are running the software to record the screen, and if that freezes over, you take your mobile phone and you actually film how your computer is freezing over. And then you take the video from your mobile phone and that goes into your court case. So we can iterate, you know, until eternity. If they then freeze over your mobile phone, you take your digital camera, which shouldn't be Wi-Fi enabled, okay? No Wi-Fi on digital cameras, okay? If it's not Wi-Fi enabled and you use your digital camera and your mobile phone freezes over, that shows determination. And it also shows that whoever is accessing your computer is accessing your phone. That means state-level hacking. And then you take your digital camera and you film your screen, you film your phone, and that film goes straight into your court bundle as solid evidence of your intelligence agency's involvement. That's what it means. You automatically implicated with evidence like that your National Digital Surveillance Intelligence Agency and the NSA, who we know owns the entire fucking system. Okay, that's what William Binney and other NSA whistleblowers have revealed. The NSA owns the system. If you're in Timbuktu trying to call your mom in Kazakhstan, the NSA still owns the entire fucking system. If you're being hacked, it means you're being hacked by the NSA, most likely, in acquiescence or in collaboration with your nation's digital surveillance agency. So in court, you can get your own digital intelligence agency and the NSA. And this is a lot of fun because suddenly we have several billion people on this planet all suing NSA. And they might be big, but they're not that big. So in court, they will look really, really small. That's the entire fun of this. Okay, so this is now the intelligence agencies hacking off this sort of process. What else did we have in the list? I think if I, sorry, let me just check that you guys are still there and you can hear me.
Suing NSA.
Yeah, okay, yes, you can hear me. So this was the download is freezing. Then this step number 2 was the executable disappeared. Now, if you are downloading something and the executable disappears, it's not in your download folder, beware, because what it sometimes, especially Windows computers, do is if you have previously downloaded a file, let's say, I don't know, your cousin sent you some cute kitten videos and you thought, this is so cute, I want to keep it. But I put it into a subfolder called downloads, family, cousin, cute kitten videos, because your cousin always sends you these things and you love it. So it's in a subfolder, in a subfolder, in a subfolder. Windows, sorry, not Windows, the browser sometimes remembers which subfolder you put it in. So it thinks, aha, from now on, I should put all the files I'm downloading into the folder, family, cousin, kitten videos. And it puts it in there. So if you now download the Tor browser, you don't notice, but it's actually in the folder for the kitten videos. That happens. That's not hacking. That's just Windows and the browser trying to be helpful. Okay, but you need to know that this is what's happening. So sometimes when you're downloading, it asks you where to store it. But for example, Google Chrome doesn't even ask me anymore. It automatically puts it into downloads, or it automatically puts it into whichever folder I downloaded stuff into last time. And when you're doing many things like I'm doing, and you have many court cases on the go and many folders, you can really fuck yourself over with that. So these days, I just got into the habit of downloading always to the downloads folder and then dragging and dropping it by hand wherever I want to have it. But beware, you might have downloaded something and it went somewhere. So in that case, what you do is, for example, on Google Chrome, that's what I'm staring at now, is you go on to the sidebar, okay, and you see 3 little dots on Google Chrome. In the olden days, there used to be a menu at the top left. But, you know, modern software design aims to fuck us all over in many ways as they can. So these days, it's 3 little dots that you might have missed on the right-hand side instead of the top really visible on the left-hand side, like in the olden days. So what you do is that, and let me share my screen. Hang on, let me share my screen with a different image so that you don't see yourself a million times. On me filming myself. Okay, let's share the screen. So what I mean is, in the olden days, there used to be a menu up here. Okay, now these days, there's these 3 little dots. Yeah, tiny, so cute, so easy to miss. And then you click on that and it opens up the entire menu that's in the olden days used to be at the top on the left. Actually a reduced menu, not even what used to be there in the olden days. And then you click on downloads here. And this opens up a new tab. I can't do it now because I've downloaded confidential material and I remember that. So if as soon as I open it, you might see victim names and what they have sent me, and I cannot do that. So just take this from me. You click on downloads and it opens a new tab. And on the new tab, you will see a listing and it says, I downloaded this file and this file and this file. On Google Chrome, it doesn't tell you where it downloaded it to, you know, downloaded it to. So what you do is you right click on the file, you literally hover over something and you right click And then, sorry, this is a different menu, but what it should open is a little item called open the file in its current location, or open, no, sorry, it's called open file location. That's what you're looking for. And when it says open file location and you click on it, it opens the browser window, sorry, the file, what's it called? The file navigator, whatever. It opens this fucking thing here, okay? Right. And it will be right the very folder where it is downloaded into. And then up here, you can see the chain of subfolders. You can see where you are in the computer system. And then you take the file, you click on it, and you drag and drop it into downloads, okay? That's what you do. So this is how you can find out where your downloads went. And now, again, this is just, I have experienced this, and I have managed to screw myself over for once without the help of the NSA. And I just did that by downloading to a subfolder and forgetting where I had downloaded something last time. And it took me ages to, figure out how to get here. But even if you haven't downloaded something into a subfolder, what the intelligence agencies can do is trick your browser to think that from now on, you wish that it downloads everything into the subfolder of a subfolder. You will never, ever find this thing again by hand. Okay. Now, what I asked Richard to do is use the file browser and search for the file name. And it turns out that sometimes even the file name can be suppressed. So basically, your browser downloads into a subfolder and renames the file, or a script renames the file of a recently downloaded file. Okay. In terms of scripting, this is so easy to do that I think even I could do it, even though I never worked for the NSA, right? And I'm not a hacker. But I think given enough time, I could figure out how to do that. So you can imagine that there must be a packet doing these things, okay? Some sort of software tool. But this is how you get around it. But then again, if you discover that something untoward is happening, film it. And if you can't get the file back by the most obvious method, like open the file location, if you open the file location and it's your downloads folder, but whatever you downloaded isn't in the downloads folder anymore, and there's no recent file there, it means that something more sophisticated has happened. It's not your fault. And it's so unusual that it automatically implies hacking. And it automatically means that if you film it, you can get your National Intelligence Agency and the NSA by the bollocks. So, right? That's good, isn't it? So that's so much about that. Now, what were the other types of hacks? Let me have a look at the chat. I listed it in the menu in the chat. So this was item number 3. Okay. So executable disappears. That was point number 2. Oh yes, number 3, the Skype call is freezing up. It just keeps freezing up. And I think item number 4, did I type that? 1, 2, 3, 4, it's the entire screen goes black, right? And number 5 was that the memory is being reduced. Now I talked about item number 5, hack number 5, which is, suddenly your hard drive, which should have gigabytes of free space, only has 250 megabytes. That's being done remotely. But also, I should say that I discovered that, for example, Google Chrome and YouTube do the following. If you have a browser open because you watched something on YouTube, let's say a movie, okay? Now, movies take a lot of storage space. So if you've got a 1-hour presentation, it could be something like 1 gigabyte, depending on the resolution of the image and what exactly it is and how it's being recorded. So typically, if you record something with a mobile phone, I've noticed that even short, 5-minute videos can be ludicrously large, and that's probably because of the resolution of the image. If I record something with my webcam, I can record for I think 2 hours before I filled 1 gigabyte. But now, if somebody has, let's say they've uploaded a 10-minute film that they filmed with their mobile phone, high def and everything, it's up on YouTube. It looks like just a 10-minute video, but actually it's massive. the storage space is huge, okay? That this 10 minutes video that is using up. Now, when YouTube sends you a video, your browser loads whatever it's showing into memory. If you're watching now a 2-hour movie, it would be a bit too much to load the entire 2 hours into memory, okay? It might literally just freeze up most computers. So what they do is they download or they load a very, short clip into the memory. It's like a window, a few seconds before the film and a few seconds after. And you can check that this is exactly what they're doing by opening your favorite streaming service, opening a long movie like Lord of the Rings or whatever, and then start watching in the middle. And then when you're watching in the middle, it takes a couple of minutes for the whole thing to start. You will see the little circle and then it starts playing. Okay, now skip 1 or 2 seconds or 20 seconds forward and it plays flawlessly. Skip 20 seconds back, it plays flawlessly. Skip 20 minutes ahead, and then you have to watch the little circle go around before it starts up again. Now, the circle going around is exactly in the background this process of, suddenly the software notices, you've gone outside the window I've downloaded. Hang on a second, let me just get the new data for you. And then it downloads a new window around a new viewing time that you have selected. This is how it works. Now, if you have watched YouTube in the olden days, you always had a little window. These days, I think the intel agencies have somehow modified something that sometimes I have the entire YouTube video. So I've got a 2-hour lecture and I've got my viewing point at 1 hour 50 minutes. It turns out that the entire 2-hour lecture has been loaded into memory. I don't think that this is how it's designed to work. Yet this is how it is working for me right now. So this means if I've got a browser open and I've got several tabs and each one of them has got a long presentation, I might literally have 4 gigabytes filled up on my hard drive, like poof, not understanding why. In the olden days, they should have downloaded like a little 50 or 20 megabyte window and that's it, 100 megabytes at most. But not several gigabytes. These days they do. Why? Because they're trying to freeze over my computer. So if you are experiencing hacking, the first thing to do is close all the many browser tabs. So, when I'm working, sometimes I've got 3 browser windows and each one of them has literally 20 tabs because it's different articles, different references I'm looking up. It's very easy to do. And it's amazing that the computers these days can handle it. When I was at school, it was mind-blowing to have a browser and 12 tabs open at the same time. These days, I regularly have, 60 or 80 tabs open and nothing happens. I just continue working. But if the intelligence agencies want to screw you over, suddenly you have 4 tabs open and, it freezes over. So watch out for this stuff. And you can check because it looks like these big video files that Google Chrome, for example, downloads, they're using your hardware space. So again, you open a file browser. Before you open your browser, you open the file browser, the little yellow window with your folder listings. You go to this PC and you check how much space do I have open. So hang on, for those people who just joined, let me show you what exactly I mean. Let me share my screen. Let's open this. So you go to this one first. Before you start up your computer, you haven't started any browser. You go here, you click on this PC, and then you look, how much space does my hard drive have? I've got 1 gigabyte. Let's say, if you open it, you should easily have something like 4 or 10, okay? This is your hard drive space. Now you open your Google Chrome browser and you load a long lecture by your favorite, or your favorite show. If it's 2 hours long and suddenly your free space drops by several gigabytes or 1 gigabyte or 500 megabytes, you know that that's exactly what's hogging it, okay? And it shouldn't, your free space should not drop by more than a tops of 100 or 200 megabytes at most. If it's suddenly dropping by a gigabyte, it means you're being hacked. It means that your browser has been modified to load the entire bloody thing into, well, not into active memory, but, you know, have it ready for you to see. It's on your machine. It's quicker to play from your machine than it is to play over the internet and keep receiving packets. Okay, so it's a little, this facility, every browser has it, and it's to make our viewing comfort, you know, better, so we don't have to keep, you know, stalling the videos as we're watching them. It's meant to be just a continuous stream. So downloading it to your hard drive is a facility that is for our benefit, but if it's being misused, it means that the browser is being tweaked and it's downloading the whole bloody thing. And it's very hard to spot, because it could be just as small as changing a flag somewhere in the actual files of the software that govern the ruling of the software. So it's very hard to pick up. Okay, but you can just open the file browser and monitor how much hard drive space do all these windows, how much are they hogging? You know, you measure it, or you read out how much space do I have before launching the process, how much space do I have when the process has been launched. And with the process, I mean you open a new tab, you go to YouTube and you start playing a video. Okay, and again, if something crazy happens, don't just go like, oh God, I've been hacked and they do all this crazy stuff and there's nothing we can do. No, you take a screenshot. And if you're sophisticated and you have a simple software, I think some you can download for free, that allow you to just film your screen and film what you're doing on your computer. You just start that process and you film, look here, no browser. Now I'm starting the browser. Now I'm loading this video, and look, it just took up 1 gigabyte. That's not normal. Okay. So again, you have evidence, and you have, again, evidence of fairly sophisticated hacking, because they are clearly guinea pigging on a process that every browser has, but they're kind of taking it ad absurdum. They're taking it to a ludicrous level. Okay, so this is the hacking of these processes. Now, we also had another one, which is your Skype call freezes. Okay. Now, if your Skype call freezes, or any other, you know, process over the internet, it could also be that you're streaming a YouTube video and it just stalls, okay? And everything that you're trying to do over the internet is just stalling nonstop. What you can do, it could be that, so if you have enough storage space for the working memory of these processes, this shouldn't happen. So it could be that it's your internet connection that's the problem. And again, it could be that the intelligence agencies put themselves between you and the server that you're connecting to, right, by spoofing. So they could say, oh, we're the server, you know, and they tell your computer, send all the packets to us, and then they forward it. And then it's kind of like an in-between, okay? So your packets go to them, and then they, you know, might stream stuff from the other. They look at what does your computer want, which website does it want to access, and they send your computer, you know, a fake website, or they send the website, but it's going through their computers and they are monitoring it. So this is also something that they do. But once they do that, they can, of course, also reduce, you know, the actual, what's it called, the bandwidth of your internet connection. Okay, so they can do it by different ways. They can, in principle, hack your router as well, although that's a bit more work. They can put a software on your computer that's spoofing, you know, a fake browser that's actually communicating with their servers all the time, and it looks identical to a normal browser. That can be done. They can be a bit more sophisticated and just spoof your browser to always connect to one of their servers. That can be done. So it's many, many different ways how it can be done. But the classical thing, which is what happens to many people, is you cannot stream a video, or you can't have a Skype call because your internet connection is somehow impaired. It could be because there's I don't know, some natural occurring bottleneck in the bandwidth. The way to check is you go to specific websites. So let me share my screen, and this is something that you can do within moments. Okay, so this is very, very easy to do. Hang on, let me share my screen here. you go to a website called speedtest.net. Now, you do not have to use this website. You can just go to Google and say internet speed test, okay? And then you have this one I've selected here, which is Speed Test by Ookla, but you can have any other provider, you know. In fact, you can cross-check several of them. And then what you can do is you just go to Speed Test, and then you hit this. So this says in German los, which means start. And this is the German version of their website. If you're somewhere in the US, let's see if I can force this. Oops, no. Page not found. Hang on, let's go back. Okay, so it just says you've got this big button, and then you press it, and what it does, it starts sending and receiving packets, okay? So now you can see I've got a big whooping super fast connection here, right? And it's what it does, it is measuring the download speed here. It's connecting to their servers, and you could see there was a turn-on curve, and now it's downloading on an average of 239 megabits per second. Now, this is the download speed, and now the upload speed, you can see it somewhere close to 50. Okay, now I can tell you that here in Switzerland, this is a fast connection. In my previous flat, I had, I think, 50 megabits per second. 50, and here I had, I think, 16. So, okay, with 50 and 16, you can still do live broadcasts and all that sort of stuff. But of course, if you have more, that's better, and it's higher resolution that you can broadcast. But if you have less, then you start running into problems. For example, if your download speed is something like 16 and your upload speed is 8 or 4, that's kind of difficult, okay? And that means that if you only have a temporary problem with the internet speed, it could be that your temporary download and upload speed have been reduced artificially. But then you should find out what your typical speeds are. And if you run into problems with your internet connection, check the speed at that moment and see what it is. Okay? This is one way. And again, you can take a screenshot. You can press Control Print and, you know, save the file in Windows Paint. And then you can take several screenshots. You can check your internet speed at night, at midnight. You can check it at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. And you can also check it when you are experiencing hacks that are related to your internet connection, something to do with communicating over the internet. And then if you suddenly see that the speed has been reduced to 1/10 or 1/100th of what your normal internet speed is, then you know, aha, I don't know how they did it, but this is what they did. And again, you screenshot it. And, you know, with time, if it's a targeted hack, it will be targeted at the activity that you're doing. So, for example, you want to have an interview with somebody and, you know, you just cannot connect, or the resolution, the screen resolution is appalling, or the audio is being interrupted, and so on and so on. Now, audio is actually fairly low bandwidth, but video is quite a lot. So if it's your video that's a problem, do a speed test and check if somehow your internet speed has been impaired. You know, if it's audio, because transferring audio over the internet with everything else going on is so small, when your audio is being hacked, I suspect when it's impaired, I suspect a hack. Okay, so now talking about microphones and webcams, you know, there I have experienced a lot more local hacking on my machine. So for example, your webcam, it's plug and play, which means you just stick in the USB and it just works, okay? And one day you want to go live and you've connected your webcam, but your system doesn't recognize the webcam. That's a typical hack. Somehow it says, oh, doesn't exist, is not connected. Oh, I don't even know what sort of make and model it is. No idea, I don't even know what this is. This is a hack. If your webcam used to work and suddenly it doesn't, and your system says, no comprende, right? Then it means, well, you know, something more sophisticated happened. And you know, on the Techno Forum, what we've experienced a lot is that suddenly microphones and webcams stopped working. In terms of the software sophistication, that goes into webcams and microphones, it's so low. These are such simple programs that them randomly not working is not really normal. Okay. But in terms of the intelligence agencies, of course, cutting you off, not allowing you to show things over the internet, not allowing you to speak is very important to them. So you might experience a lot of microphone and webcam sabotage, right? Specifically targeted at those. And, you know, you have watched my videos. One time I came on and I literally sounded like the chipmunks, you know, because they have used my microphone. They put some little gimmicky program in between, and it made me sound like the chipmunks when I was talking. So very funny, but it's not really normal, you know. And that, again, implicates directly the intelligence agencies. So this is what you have to do for this type of hacking. Now, I do have a bit more time, so I just want to finish off with a couple of other things, which is what to do when you have, for example, sophisticated hacking over your social media. Okay. Now, if you are using social media, let's pick the platform Twitter. Okay, because it's very popular, and you're trying to send out messages about your, you know, the way you're being tortured or the crimes you've come across and so on and so on. And suddenly you notice people are ignoring you, or you're not accruing any followers or something. It could very well be that you got shadow banned. Okay, now shadow banning is something that all the social media platforms, yes, all engage in. And some more than others. And what shadow banning is that you are sending messages, right? They appear on your stream on the front, but nobody else sees them. Okay. If you're sending replies to people or you tweet at people, it doesn't show up under their notifications. They never know that you've done it. Okay. Now, this is a very sophisticated hack, so there's not a simple thing I can say to you that, you know, you can prove this. But fortunately, somebody has already written sophisticated software where you can see what's being done. So let me share my screen and introduce you to a couple of tools that you can use, and let's test it right now. So if you have problems over Twitter, the first thing you should check is if you have been shadow banned. And there's something called shadowban.eu. Shadowban.eu. Now, it's the ending .eu, but it's actually it's global. Anywhere where you're using Twitter, you can use this. So what you can do is it checks, is your username shadow banned on Twitter? And all you have to do is you type in your Twitter username or the username of somebody else, and you check if they have been shadow banned. So I type in stop007org, that's my Twitter handle, and then I select check. It's now going through, they found my account. It's now, they're testing a search ban, and voila, there's a search ban on my account. No thread ban, and this is, I think, the qualitative filter ban, the QFB, but there's a search ban on, so probably they cannot complete this. So, there's a search ban. What's a search ban? It says this type of ban causes your tweets to be hidden from the search results entirely, no matter whether the quality filter is turned on or off. This behavior includes hashtags as well. And this type of ban seems to be temporarily limited for active accounts. This is the technical information about the results. We did not find a tweet by searching for @stop007org. Interesting. They didn't find a single tweet. Now this is a search ban. And here we are, right? You can see I'm banned. Now you can use your username, or we can pick anybody else, right? Let's go on Twitter. Oh yes, let's see. Let's check real Donald Trump. Real Donald Trump. Is Donald Trump being shadow banned? Looking up real Donald Trump, they found him. No search ban, no thread ban, no quality filter ban. Whatever the QFD stands for, I think this is quality filter. Quality filter discrimination, yeah. No thread is a thread ban, and the search ban is what you've just seen. So you can You can check these things and you can find out what these 3 things are that they are checking for. And again, you know, you can see this is what a normal account looks like, and this is what little me looks like here. Let's do it again. It should be reproducible. There we are. I have been shadow banned. Now this is illegal discrimination. This is unlawful discrimination here in Europe. And I have been discriminated by Twitter. So what you can do is you either, you know, you take a screenshot, or you press Control P or print, and then you print it to PDF. Okay, this is what it looks like. Here you can see this is what it has been searched for. Found stop 007 org, search ban, thread ban with an explanation. It expands. And this is 3 pages, okay, with explanations. You do this, and then when you print, you activate here. This is, I think, under Google Chrome. It's this one here. It's the header and the footer. If you include the header, you get the timestamp, and the footer down here, which you might not be able to see, is the URL. It proves which service has given you this information. And then you print this thing to PDF. You select here Microsoft Print to PDF. You can, you know, if you've got your current printer, you can change it here. You select Print to PDF, print to PDF. You print this, and then the PDF evidence of this ban goes straight into your court bundle. Okay, and then what you can do, sorry, I'm actually going to do it now because I'm so pissed off. What you do is you put the timestamp into the file name, for example. So I'm typing 2018, 10 for October, 27 for the day, and I say Twitter shadow ban. Okay, and then you save this PDF. And if you're being shadow banned, you do it every day. And then what happens is that every single day that they have shadow banned you, you have generated court actionable evidence of unlawful discrimination by Twitter. There you are. There you have it. Somebody already wrote the software platform for you. They are getting your court evidence for you. All you need to do is reach out for it and get it. So, you know, as you know, I'm very high profile, so it's not surprising that I'm being shadow banned. But it also happens to other users. And I have sometimes users have complained over Twitter. For example, there are certain users to whom it happens a lot. And or if they're very severely attacked, I sometimes take their username and put it into shadowban.eu, and I check, and I found several times, oh, they're right, they're saying the truth. In fact, they have been shadow banned. You know, or sometimes they are tweeting about severe torture and severe mutilation, and I think, they are so put upon right now that I wonder if they're also being, you know, put upon by Twitter. So I checked their username for them, and I realized, oh yes, they're only complaining about being tortured and being burned, but I also know that them talking about it over Twitter is being shadow banned. You know, and I can literally generate the evidence for them, and I try to tell them, look, you know, I think you've been shadow banned. Here's the evidence. So please learn this stuff. And even if you're not using Twitter, you can help others who do. You can point them to this video, and you can give them this tip that they can check any sort of social media manipulation, certainly Twitter, and they can generate court actionable evidence. Even if you're not planning to go to court now, well, the malicious attacks against you might accrue, might get more severe, and you might want to go to court in 6 months' time or in 2 years' time. And because we're dealing with crimes against humanity and the global organized crime cartel, crimes against humanity do not have a limitation period. Do not let them tell you otherwise. Do not let them tell you that this is just, oh, minor hacking or minor software problems, so forget about it. There's a limitation period. It's over, whatever it is. Goodbye. No, 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 no. This is not how it works. This is really not just nation state level, but international, global assault systems. These are crimes against humanity, contravening all the laws we have in the world. And Jack What's-His-Face, who's the CEO of Twitter and who you can tweet at under the handle @Jack, should know this as a CEO. So I regularly tweet @Jack to prove that I've also notified him. and you can tweet @support, and you can tweet a screenshot of your shadow banning. So you can take a screenshot of shadowban.eu saying that you've been shadow banned, tweet it at them, and then screenshot the fact that you tweeted it at them, because that's, again, court actionable evidence that they were informed. And for example, Twitter, I don't think they give you a contact support email. So they tell you that your support is to tweet @support. So then surely tweeting evidence of malicious action is also valid, right? If it's a platform that's entirely changed their communications from standard email to tweeting, then you can tweet evidence at them and use that in court, surely, right? So this is the shadow banning, and it's much more prevalent. And again, if you have somebody who you follow, let's say you're not on Twitter. By the way, if you're not logged into Twitter, you can still see what people tweet, okay? You cannot see what they say in reply to other people. For that, you have to be logged in. But let me just show you what you can see if you are logged out. So hang on, let me log out. For those people who have never used Twitter, okay, here is my Twitter page. Let me share my screen. Okay, this is again important. You have to know this sort of stuff, guys, if you want to really start working. This is Twitter, okay? It's twitter.com, and then the last bit of the URL is my username, stop007org. Within the Twitter platform, my address is exactly the same with an @ symbol at the front. That's all there's to it. Now, if you're not on Twitter, you can go to twitter.com/stop007org. That's me. Don't confuse it with the intel agencies who have hogged Stop007. I have no idea who that is, but they also only have 49 tweets. Anyway, unfortunate. But anyway, I'm Stop007org. You can find me, and you can read all my tweets here without signing up for Twitter. There we are. You can see what I'm tweeting. You can see when I tweeted it. And if it's longer than 24 hours ago, you can see the date. And also what you can do here, for example, you can see I've tweeted at the NSA and GCHQ 3 hours ago, telling them to get the fuck off our case. Or if they're sitting on our case, please get the computers back into working order, which they typically do. If I tweet at NSA and GCHQ, typically within 10 to 15 minutes, the problem goes magically away. Today, it didn't, and that shows you just how high profile Richard Lighthouse actually is. The NSA and GCHQ literally crapped their little panties today, so they sabotaged us. But anyway, you can see what's going on with me and the type of sabotage I experience, but you can also click, all right? You can click on a particular tweet. You can see what this tweet retweeted in turn. You can click on that. And then you can also, down here, you can see the precise time and date of the tweet. Now, if you are experiencing shadow banning, you can collect the evidence. You can keep collecting the evidence. But there is also sophisticated shadow banning that makes your tweets apparently disappear. People cannot see them. Now, I had to devise a method to work around that, and my little workaround is to number my tweets. It takes a bit of organization, and I regularly screw up the numbering, which is unfortunate, but it's still better, because then if somebody thinks they're not getting my messages, they can always go to my page directly. This is my stream here, and say, okay, this was her tweet 3,152, this is 3,153, 3,154, and so on. Can I see all the tweets? If a number is missing, it means that the intel agencies have made it disappear. I typically check that all the numbers are sequential. Sometimes you can see that I fuck up the ordering. So the 10, sometimes I write 3, 5, 1, 6, and so on. That happens. If you see that, it's probably me screwing it up. If it continues sequentially after that, it's just me being stupid on Eurotect, okay? Just an honest mistake. And I should also say that retweets, everything I retweet here doesn't have my numbering. But anyway, at least you can tell that, you can get all my important tweets in series. And you can always come to my page directly And you can also, if you're logged in, if you have an account, you can select tweets and replies, which you cannot hear. But then you can also see what I'm sending to other people that you have maybe not followed. You can literally see me have little bitching fights with other people and have little gripes and my little grumbles and comments. And those I send directly with the @handle to individuals. They will not show up on my front page. But you're always welcome to have a dummy Twitter account, even if you're not intend to use it. And then you can also see my tweets and replies. So I am very, very public. You can literally check wherever the hell I am and what the hell I'm doing over my Twitter feed. You can check that I'm still alive and I'm still as, grumpy as ever. And I'm still going at the throat of the intelligence agencies just as before. And you can hear about my torture and everything. But I ask you now, also, if you're not using Twitter, you have a public responsibility, I would say, to make sure as an adult citizen of whatever nation you're in, you have a responsibility to make sure that the people who are fighting for you stay alive. And you have a duty to keep an eye on them. And this is not just me. This is all the many, many, many other people who are tweeting on Twitter. They're tweeting about their torture and they're tweeting about what's happening to them. And I would say that you have a responsibility, a moral responsibility, a moral duty to become one of the big army of people who are keeping an eye on them. So it is your responsibility in this globe and fighting against this global Holocaust to also make sure that people are fine. Regularly check in, have a list of usernames who you trust, who you like to follow, or who you really think should stay alive. And what you can do is you can sign up for Twitter. You can say them. You have no idea how good it feels when people say, that was awesome, keep going. Oh, well, this was great, but look, this is something that you could do better. That's great. But keep people in conversation. Don't let them become isolated. Retweet their tweets. And especially if you have a victim who's very, very isolated, very few followers, very shy, but tweeting bombshell stuff, retweet it, share it with your followers, or if you don't want to use your own account because you're still stupid enough to be embarrassed about the fact that there's a global Holocaust ongoing and you don't want to report about that, open another account under, a different username. Start accruing followers and start helping these victims spread their message. These are all literally things that are your civic duty, or many things that you can do within your civic duty. Take that seriously. So in fighting back, it's not just donating money. It's not just writing to your Congress people. It's also checking that your fighters are alive, encouraging them, and helping to spread their message and their method. That is also your responsibility. So much about Twitter. Now, this is the shadow ban test. And then another thing I want to say about Twitter, for those people who are using Twitter, but it also applies if you are using Facebook or anything else. This is something that I have uncovered, and it is very, very, very serious. Okay. It is very, very, very serious. Now, what I uncovered is that Facebook and Twitter have a facility that you can broadcast your location. Your precise location, down to the street level. Now, this is serious, okay, guys? Now, the fact that Twitter even has this facility is, I think, a violation of your privacy. Now, they say, oh, by default, it's not activated. Well, yeah. But then if you have hackers or the intelligence agencies, the only thing that they need to do is activate that flag, and your precise location, your precise home address. And if you are carrying you've logged into Twitter with your mobile phone and you're looking at tweets on your mobile phone, your precise location where you're sitting right now is being broadcast to the entire world. Anybody who doesn't like you can look up in what cafe are you sitting right now as you're sending your grumpy tweets. They can come up to you from behind, and okay, of course, we all think about, oh yes, and they can pull a gun and shoot me in the head, but that's pretty obvious, isn't it? So no one's going to do that. Well, yeah, duh. But what they can also do is, for example, go up behind you and, I don't know, pour some sort of drug into your coffee when you're not looking, walking past. Or what the intelligence agencies like to do is shoot a couple of poison darts at you, you know. Or they can check that you're sitting in a cafe, you're not at home, and they can break into your home, you know. Or they can see that you're walking from your home to a school, and they can find out where your kids go to school, and they can start bullying and intimidating your kids. Do you want that? I don't think so. So it is absolutely no business of a social media company to even open this possibility. It's literally criminal that they have implemented the machinery that allows this to be broadcast. Because many people, you know, unfortunately, maybe because they are, I don't know, have learning difficulties, or they're just not that clever, or maybe they're literally just an overworked, I don't know what, surgeon who's trying to save lives all the time, but he's not very good at modern tech, and he literally doesn't know that by accident he just activated this flag, and then his entire life is being broadcast to the world. And with broadcast to the world, let me show you what I mean. I don't have to follow this surgeon to find out where his kids are or what he does in his free time. I don't even have to follow him. This is totally hands-on. The intelligence agencies or the police, if in a world where they even would investigate this sort of stuff instead of running it themselves, right? That's a fairy tale. But anyway, in a world where the investigators would genuinely want to find out who harmed the person, they could never find out in a million years, because the person who has just accessed the Twitter data never even followed the person on Twitter and didn't even create a fake account following the person. They did something else. And now I show you what this person might have done. Now, of course, as soon as I say that and I explain that this is the mechanism, I put a lot of people into danger, ostensibly. But I can tell you, in real life, the NSA, we know, controls the entire system. So no one can connect to even this website that I show you without the NSA knowing, without it being entered into their big, you know, collected data stream, without it ending up in Bluffdale, and without it being retrievable. So, you know, the situation doesn't exist that the intelligence agencies couldn't find out who used this sort of stuff. Okay, so no one can be harmed from the information I'm about to give you. And I should also say that the website that is pooling this information is not pooling it with malintent in mind. I can see from the way they are set up is that they do not have this in mind. They just do not understand just how very, very powerful, or maybe they do, I don't know. But this particular platform, I don't think so. So let's just use this. Let's not stomp on their heads. Let's just all start to become clever about what we're doing. So this is important, what I tell you, okay? Now, pay attention. If you need a break, pause the video, get a coffee, come back to it, and start playing it then, because you have to be awake for what I'm about to show you. Okay, this is something I discovered just a few weeks ago, and I was just like, oh my fucking God. Okay, now, look at this. Let me share my screen. Let me share this window. What I'm showing you here is a social media Twitter analysis site called Follower Wonk. Okay, yes, Wonk with an O. Okay, so followerwonk.com is this platform, and I actually really like it. I really think that the service that they're offering is brilliant for me as an investigator, and it's brilliant for everybody who is using a social media platform. So please do not take this to be negative press against Follower Wonk. In actual fact, I'm about to do a lot of positive advertising for their platform, which hopefully balances the couple of problems that I'm highlighting. Okay, I am not against this company. I actually think all of you should sign up with this company. There's ways to sign up for free and get excellent data that you can use to fight back and that you can use in court. Okay, so never mind which company it is. It's not specifically against them. But please go to this website now. You can sign up, and you can, if you connect, it says that you can connect with your Twitter account. So don't be scared. Just do it. You can deactivate their access later from Twitter, and I'll show you how to do it. So you can sign up now, and then you too can, for free. I haven't given them any money, okay? I've just used their free access, And then you too can check everything that I'm about to show you. So please sign up later or whenever you've got the courage and you've got the confidence, okay? And then you can check that you can get an account. I've signed up with my Twitter account, as you can see here. And I went to the tab Analyze. And then what I did is I typed here my YouTube, so I typed my Twitter handle. You type in your Twitter handle, and then you can select if you want to analyze the users that you are following, or if you want to analyze your followers. And then you type in your username, and then, you know, here I've checked a couple, then the people I was in touch with, you can see which ones I checked. And I was communicating with another researcher about, like, oh my fucking God, what's going on? And we have also analyzed one guy who seems to be an agent. That's this guy here. Okay, Anfang 007 seems to be a US German sort of account that is hacking. So these are the people that I have checked, and I can prove to you that I can check people I work with and make sure that they are not being hacked. And I can also check hacking accounts with this. It's all very, very important. So anyway, type it in here. You can check your own username or my username and see that what I'm saying is the truth. And then when you say do it, it produces an analysis report for you. Now, the analysis report is the following. The analysis report shows you, it also, I've entered my YouTube channel, so it immediately brings up the URL that you've published over Twitter. It quotes your social authority, whatever the hell that is. It means, you know, algorithms determine how popular or how well known you are, you know. I think I was told that everything above 60 or 70 is in the top category. You know, you don't have to get 100%. Most people don't. And then it shows you how many followers I have right now. It shows you for how many years I've been a member of Twitter. It shows you what's the fraction of the things I retweet, what's the fraction of my own tweets, and so on. But anyway, this is me here. Very important data that you can use to find bot accounts, which I will explain to you later. But if you scroll down, you can now see all the users who I'm following. And you can see that I'm following a lot of people in the US, a lot of accounts in the United Kingdom, and some throughout the world. But now, watch this. I can zoom in, and these are the people I'm following. And you can do the same thing, by the way, if you select Analyze Followers, and then press Do It, you get the precise map, and you can see your followers and where they are. Now, watch this. I can zoom in, and I can see that there are people in Liverpool, Manchester, somewhere in the middle, somewhere here near Reading, and in London. You know that I've been stalked, right? In Oxford, and look, there are people in Oxford. So let's zoom into Oxford, and I can now see that this person here is in a business park or in a park. And I can see their user handle. And I can tell you that this account was down here last time I checked. I can see this person precisely. I can see the precise address that they are at right now. Do you think that's okay? Now, I've singled somebody out in Oxford. I'm very sorry, but, you know, by the way, the reason why I kept zooming is because I suspect that that's a bot account. So I think it's actually, you know, URLs being sent around to different servers that might be involved with the intelligence agencies. So this is why I kept going. But in principle, you can do this in London here. For example, I found a user here in Buckingham Palace Park. I can actually show you that somebody is walking through from between Wellington Arch through the park. This person is going for a walk. I can find on which walking path they're on. Literally. And I can see they're walking now here, down here. I'm not going to show you his username right now because I don't think that's fair. But I can tell you what they're doing. Probably they're going for a walk after work. Do you think that's okay that I can see this? And then when they're finished with their walk, I can see where they might go for dinner. And then I can go there if I live in London, and I can see, you know, who their new date is. And then I can literally track them all the way home without having to track them home. Do you think the police is ever going to go to Follow a Wonk and then go to this website? And by the way, Follow a Wonk is just one developer platform out of many. Any developer can get the data from Twitter and can find out where all these people are. And look, I mean, you can zoom out, you can find another user. Here, there's somebody somewhere, you know, oh, they're called extrovert covert. Well, I can tell you they're fucking extrovert because they're literally telling me where they are. It's this person. He claims to be in the US. You know, he seems to have a surprisingly symmetric amount of followers and the people he's following. So I suspect he's got a bot account. He's showing the all-seeing eye, and she seems to highlight something here, which almost looks like a sniper target. And he says, trust the plan, MAGA, you know, here. And he says New England, but he's actually in England. So let's just go back again to this user. I'm sorry, I've singled you out, extrovert covert, but frankly, your account looks like MI5. And look, that's where he is. Here's the London Eye. This is the headquarters of the Metropolitan Police, and he seems to be on the Thames Jet. Well, frankly, he's probably on Victoria Embankment, probably on the, I don't know, a balcony of the Metropolitan Police HQ. And ladies and gentlemen, I think I've discovered that extrovert covert is either working for the Met or he's working for MI5. It looks like, you know, at 6:30 p.m. he's having a boat cruise on the middle of the Thames, or else he might be an MI5 agent currently on one of the boats traveling from somewhere to somewhere. Interesting, isn't it? Interesting. Yeah, well, son, you are truly extrovert. You are broadcasting your current fucking location and you tracked it back to the Met. The Met police is here and MI5, let me just find MI5, as I call them lovingly, is down here. Here, MI6, Vauxhall Cross, there, MI6, right there. Now, the kids at MI6 are clever enough to not broadcast their location, so else it would be teaming here. You know, so it looks like whoever works for MI6 is a bit cleverer than whoever works for, you know, the Met up here. Guys, you really have to get your shit together. This is embarrassing. All right. And again, let's look at extrovert covert. You can see his username. When I open it up, he has the skull, which I find rather suspicious. Looks threatening, doesn't it? He has some sort of profile image that is not really in the profile image. So it's some poor bugger whose image is probably being misused, and he's showing the all-seeing eye. And also he has a surprisingly symmetric number of, you know, people he follows and his followers. And with 6,000 followers, he only has 3,000 tweets. I mean, I have 14,000 tweets, okay? So what the fuck? And then most suspiciously, he only joined in June 2018. Frankly, it looks like a recruit account. And he's pretending to be in New England in the UK. He's pretending to be MAGA, trust the plan, QAnon. Yeah, my ass. That guy probably works for the Metropolitan Police and is a total idiot. Okay, right there. I've just uncovered this using this platform. Follow a Wonk. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, go in, have your fun. But I ask you to please do not misuse private people. Do not misuse it. Instead, tweet at them and say, by the way, do you know that you're broadcasting your location? So what I want to show you now is if you're shit scared, as you should be by this, your first thought should be, oh my God, I hope Facebook or Twitter is not broadcasting my location. All right. Now, that's the first thing you all should check. If you find an innocent person who is broadcasting his location, please do not misuse it. Inform them. Inform them. Tweet at them. Direct message them, talk to them in private, email them, somehow tell them that this is what they're doing, but please don't do it publicly. Okay, so direct message is much better because then other people can misuse this information. Be ethical. But if you find an MI5 person, and I'm sorry, someone calling themselves covert, extrovert, you know, with a fucking all-seeing eye, here with the mean all-seeing eye logo in their Twitter handle. I mean, who the fuck would use an image with that low resolution in his profile image? Unless it's a Metropolitan Police undercover officer who doesn't give a shit. If you find one of these fuckers, tell them to go and screw themselves, please. This is pathetic, okay? So be ethical. I'm giving you a lot of data here. Be ethical, guys. But now, more importantly, I hope you guys are still listening. Let's see how many people are following. Okay, 103 people are watching live. You guys, you guys are now insiders. Let me log into my Twitter. So this is why I stopped sharing my screen. Let me just type my credentials here. Let me log in so that you guys cannot see. Okay, now let me share my screen again. I've now logged into my personal Twitter. Okay, so if you suddenly glean something, be ethical, guys, but there shouldn't be anything that I want to hide. So now let me show you how you can deactivate the location broadcasting. Okay, very important. It should be off by default, but it might not be. It might have been activated. You might have clicked on it without noticing by accident, or hackers might have activated it, or MI5 might have activated it as a really convenient thing of just logging into your account, activating it, and following you. And then their trainees could have activated it. In fact, people being trained up to be spies, maybe this little idiot, they can activate it for you. And by the way, I think it was last night that I watched a film, not a film, sorry, it was an interview that Jason Goodman did with Kevin Shipp. Okay, and they were talking about targeted individuals. Now, it's on Patreon, guys. Okay, so I think you have to pay $1 to access it, but you have to pay $1. Doesn't matter. It might be worth it. And then I literally heard Kevin Shipp say, well, I have been in counterintelligence, and I have been a trainer of spies. I have been training up spies, in the craft. And yeah, I can tell you that if you want to train up new people, you will just pick a member of the public, and you would say to your trainees, okay, go and survey this guy. Fucking no authorization, no court order. There he is. I think this guy worked for the FBI, saying, yeah, this is what we do. We just pick randomly a random person, and we violate their privacy. And we take our new recruits and we say, yeah, go and survey this guy. What? Did you fucking think that was ethical? And by the way, ethical is one thing that I know the FBI doesn't give a shit about. More importantly, did you ever think that was legal? You literally have a group of Americans taking a bunch of fucktard idiots not knowing anything, and they say, okay, kiddies, we all know you're utterly clueless and not trained, but here you go, you've got the life of another American, go and play with his life. Did you guys think it was ethical? And did you ever think, hey, organized crime could push a little clueless little pseudo trainee in your way and say, okay, Mr. Kevin Shipp here is going to train me up how to access all these people's private lives, and then I can go back to my organized crime cartel and tell them how to do it. Did it ever occur to you that this is what you're doing, you idiots? But anyway, there's Kevin Shipp. Thankfully, I mean, I'm not against the guy. I'm grateful he said it. I'm not bashing him for saying it. I'm actually bashing the fucking FBI for the fact that this is how they're running, and every other intelligence agency. But there we have it. Court actionable evidence, not against Kevin Shipp, against the FBI and against every other intelligence agency. They literally take you randomly, and then they can violate your life. So they can access your Twitter, they can activate this flag, it will look like you have done it yourself or did it by accident, and your entire life is being broadcast to all of their trainees. The gang stalkers can follow you around just because Twitter was kind enough to put this flag into their software. Isn't that nice? And then, by the way, I've got another question to ask Kevin Shipp, not as much as under, with his current hat as a whistleblower, more like the Kevin Shipp who used to work for the FBI as a counterintelligence, trainer. And I wanted to say, okay, dear Kevin, I'm sorry I have to pick on him now, but just dear Mr. FBI trainer, to keep it anonymous, you might be ethical, but have you ever received any training in systems analysis or basic statistics? And are you aware that 1 in 100 people is a psychopath? If you have the FBI, it's probably more like 6 in 100 or more like 25 in 100. So while you might be ethical, another trainer working alongside you in the FBI, which is a massive organization, he might be a fucking psychopath, or he might be a pedo, or he might be literally just a sexual pervert or a rapist. And then he has got the same rights that you have, picking on any member of the public. So they could just say to their trainees, oh, you know what? I want you to pick this woman. I just picked her randomly, not like I really fancy her, or maybe her 4-year-old daughter. No, nothing like that. I just picked it out of a hat for you. Show me how well you've absorbed the material I taught you, and go and stalk this person. Survey them. Let's pretend they're terrorists. In actual fact, they're just a single mom, and they're just unfortunate to have a pretty young daughter or pretty young boy, handsome young boy of 4 years, that's fancied by a perverted old FBI trainer. Not Kevin Shipp. No. He's not a pedophile. He's never done anything like that, ever. Instead, he blew the whistle. I'm not talking about Kevin Shipp. I'm talking about his colleagues. And I'm talking about, while Kevin Shipp was just genuinely training up FBI agents, I talk about the statistical fact that there were thousands of other trainee FBI trainers with the same rights that he had, and I'm telling you that other people who were nothing like Kevin Shipp, because they're not whistleblowers these days, they had the right to spy on any single woman, on any married woman, on any married man, under the aegis of, or under the pretense of, oh, we're training up new recruits. That's something that was revealed to me yesterday, right? Blew my mind. And now I show you how this is done. Okay? They'll get your Twitter logins and so on. They will log in themselves. They can even spoof their IP address to look like it's you've done it, but in actual fact, they're logging in from, I don't know what, Maryland, or wherever the hell they are across the country. And then they're just, all they have to do, their little recruits just have to get the password that you're always using, type it in, spoof the IP address. It looks like you did it, and activate this flag. Ta-bada boom. And Twitter does all the surveillance for them. Ta-da! It's just broadcasting this. So now, if you don't want this shit to happen to you, you better check this, and you keep rechecking that you haven't broadcast your local address. So you log into your Twitter, if you have a Twitter account, and then you go here on your profile, and you go down to settings and privacy. Okay? Now you can see my personal account. You can see that I've got this username. You can see my public email. Nothing secret about this. And then you can also see that my language is English, and that I seem to have GMT -7, Pacific time, US. Why? I mean, I'm not using Tor right now, guys. I am just using my normal browser from Switzerland. So why exactly do I have GMT -7 picked up here? Well, I think the answer is obvious, right? This is a US address. I told you the NSA is accessing my profile. They spoof my IP. They have just spoofed my IP. And I can see it right fucking here. All right? Because the time zone changes. So check your time zone. Check, because the time zone is also automatically picked up based on your IP address. There we are. Now you can see that somebody is spoofing, but you can also see that I've got Switzerland activated here, right? And then somewhere here, hang on. I thought it was here. I swear I thought it was here, but maybe it's somewhere else. It's about, oh God, I mean, there was a flag somewhere, which was country, and then I thought that there was something like location, and it was almost like timeline, show the best tweets, You could just tick the box. God, I'm sorry. Here, maybe it's under privacy and safety. Oh, yes, sorry, here it is. Privacy and safety. And now you can protect your tweets, and then only a certain number of people can use it. But then here, it says tweet with a location. If by accident that thing is ticked, your location is being broadcast. And it says, oh, you can add a location to your tweet, such as your city and a precise location. Well, I can tell you that's bullshit. It actually automatically, if you tweak this, it automatically broadcasts your location in the park, as I've just shown you. Your location in the fucking park. I can tell you which walking path you're on right now. I can tell which coffee shop you're sitting in right now. I can tell which school you're picking up your daughter from right now. If your phone has, if you're using your phone and you've logged into Twitter, and if you've seen tweets on your phone, I can see where you are. So please log in and make sure the tweet location is disabled. Make sure that you have deleted the location information. And by the way, if you press delete location information, which you should, and you should keep pressing it repeatedly, right? Are you sure you want to delete location labels from your past tweets? Press OK. Because you know what, guys? When I logged in, my tweet location was not being broadcast, but when I clicked on this, eventually I got a message from Twitter saying, sorry, we were trying to delete your location information, and we discovered that there were some old tweets showing your location, but we've now deleted the location information from those too. And my first reaction was, are you fucking kidding me? As far as I'm aware, I've never had tweet location activated, but Twitter showed me themselves that somebody had activated my location information without me knowing. They had done it in the past, and I've screenshotted the message that Twitter sent me. Okay, so please do it. And if you get these messages, take a screenshot. Do not let the message disappear, because it proves that somebody has been messing with your account, and somebody used this facility to literally find you. Do you understand? So very important that you do this. I don't know how it's done on Facebook, but it should be something similar. And that's because Facebook has locked me out several times. So I gave up, but doesn't matter. I don't need to be on Fuckbook. Okay, so now account. Under account, I ask you all to please go to the front page. That's where it is. So you go to your profile icon, settings and privacy, and you end up on this page. Please check the time zone. Has it changed from where you are? And then please scroll down, and please, especially if you've been on Twitter for a very long time, press this and select request your archive. And it will say, we've received your request. A link will be emailed to you when your archive is ready. This may take a little while, so please be patient. Please select this and request your archive. And what you will get is you will get a zip file. So you'll get a link where you can download a zip file, open the zip file, and then you will see all your tweets. So in my case, for example, if I go to my home screen, okay, you can see I've got 16,000 tweets. In these 16,000 tweets, I also have, like, for example, the recent tweets here with the hashtag, where's it? I tweeted today several times. Here, hashtag abuse log, hashtag Holocaust log. Now, if I'm looking for these hashtags, I'm shadow banned. So as the shadow ban test told me, the search ban means that my results do not show up in search results, and this includes hashtags as well. So guess why? It is because, oh, here, look, Twitter, it's archive time. It's just been generated. You can see this is how long it takes. And then you get an email. But, you know, the reason why you should request your archive is that if there's a search ban and people cannot find your hashtags, it means that, for example, I mean, guess why they can't find my hashtags? It's because I'm always tagging it as hashtag abuse log, hashtag Holocaust log. And if you search for these, you could see the many, that you can basically see my logbook. You can see my torture logbook, okay? And you could see how many times I've publicly broadcast that I'm being shot at from cars. I've broadcast number plates of stalkers. Of course, they don't want this to show up. But if you want to system judo these fuckers, what you do is you go to settings and privacy, and then you go here, right? And then you scroll down and you say, request archive, and now you can see you can also select resend email. And then you get an email, you download the link, you download your Twitter archive, right? And I can just show you. I hope you guys are still with me. This is important stuff. Remember, you can always go back. If you're too tired, you can come back to the video. You can learn another day. But I want all the information to be right now in this video, so the lecture is complete, right? So you get an email, and I can read out to you what the email will say. I just don't want to show my inbox because it has sensitive information from other victims that I'm literally not allowed to show you. So please forgive my coyness, coyness. So the email I've just received now reads, hang on, loading Gmail. It says Twitter, it's archive time. Okay, now it says, Dr. Catherine Horton, your tweet archive is ready. And you can see a blue button and says download now. If I press download now, it takes me to my Twitter and it says your tweet archive. Keep in mind that this download may contain sensitive content, so use caution before sharing it. And it says your Twitter archive, and then you will see a Twitter button says download, and it says your archive will be downloaded as a .zip file. Unzip the file and open index.html. You may also receive an additional confirmation message from your web browser. If you do, click open to proceed. So they tell you what to do. You just click on download and it starts downloading. And in the background, I can see that I downloaded a zip file of 6.7 megabytes. If I open this zip file right now, and I'll try to do it for you, and I'll share my screen once that's done, you can see what it looks like, okay? So there's nothing controversial here, nothing I need to be ashamed about. So hang on, it's just opening the zip file right now. Okay, I've opened the zip file, and then let me open it in the tab. Okay, here we are. I can, hang on, I'm just getting it ready for you. Oops. Hang on. I need to unzip this. So you open the file, you unzip it. Let me open an old Twitter archive. I just realized that you need to unzip it for this to work. Okay, here we are. Okay, let me share my screen, right? Let me share my screen, and then you can see so that you know what I'm talking about. So what just happened is I received this email. It says download your Twitter archive. In the email, you press on the download, and the page that it takes you to is this page, okay? And it will say your Twitter archive, blah, 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 and here, and then you press this download, and you can see I've already pressed it, okay? And then you can see I've downloaded this zip file here, this .zip file. And then you open the zip file, right? And then, hang on. When you open the zip file, the folder, oh God, hang on, give me a second. Looks like this. Let me share my screen. Where are you guys? Okay, let me share my screen here. When you open the zip file, it looks like this, okay? You've got your data, JS stands for JavaScript, CSS files, these are database files, blah, 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 README. You can open the README, okay? And here it says how to use your Twitter archive, okay? You can read that. But then it also has this index.html file. You double click on that, and then it opens your Twitter archive, but downloaded onto your hard drive. And here you can see little me started tweeting in 2016. There's December, 915 tweets in December, my tweeting in 2017, and my tweeting this year. And you can see all your tweets. And this way, you know where I'm heading with this. You can see what I tweeted and what I retweeted, and you can see people tweeting about me. Okay? Here, you can see I've retweeted Donald Trump. It says retweeted by me. Okay? And you can see view on Twitter. You can see the actual tweet I retweeted by him, you know, with spies or informants, as the Democrats like to call them, because it sounds less sinister, but it's not. All over my campaign, even from a very early date. Why didn't the crooked highest level of the FBI, or inverted commas justice, contact me to tell me of the phony Russia problem? He tweeted that on the 26th of May. Yeah, good point. You know, Donald Trump knows that spies and informants are actually sinister, right? That's a good president. And he says so publicly. So I thought, wow, I'm going to so retweet that. So I did. And then in my tweet archive, you can find that that's what I did. But you can also use the search. And this is now, even though it opens in your browser, it's opening a file and a database on your hard drive. It means that if you download your Twitter archive, and if you download it regularly, like every 2 weeks, that's what I would recommend. Every week or every 2 weeks, download your Twitter archive. You can burn it to CD, and then none of your tweets can be disappeared by the intelligence agencies. In court, I can prove, if I type #abuselog, it's now searching, and it's showing all my tweets here. It shows it here, the tweet, it shows the date, it shows the hashtag, and I can prove to a court by burning this onto a CD that, look, I have been tweeting about my abuse for all this time, you know? And they did nothing. And then you can also view on Twitter, should there be a search ban, you can search your own personal archive on your hard drive, and then you can just click on the link directly, and there's my tweet. There we are. Okay, this is very important that you do that. And as you could see, the only thing I had to do was things like fucking clicking buttons. Now, your grandma can do that, even if she doesn't know anything about computers. Your 10-year-old child can do that. So please, you too, do it. Go and download your fucking Twitter archive, okay? So very important. And then you can search it much quicker. You can look at your past tweets. You can also, I think I tweeted once, I took the piss out of Aleister Crowley. And I think if I search for monsters, you can, or the Addams family. Hang on. I just found this tweet yesterday. Oh man, that's a pity. They have somehow Addams family. Oh man, I've just found this tweet last night. So something happened to this Twitter archive. Okay. Anyway, I took the piss out of Aleister Crowley, and I took the piss out of, what's the other guy? General or Colonel Aquino. And yeah, I made a funny tweet. But the point is that last night I managed to find the precise tweet and the images that I included. So it also downloads the images that you sent over Twitter. This is a very, very, very good and important facility to have, okay? Because every tweet that you send publicly, and especially if you tweet at GCHQ or NSA, becomes a public document. It becomes public evidence that you have reported your torture. And already in the European Union, we have a law that says an email is a public document, okay? So you do not have to send a registered letter. You can, but you don't have to. An email is already enough, okay? And you can, if you have an email communication, that is evidence in court. And individual emails are court admissible documents. And this was a new thing that, you know, the courts have to move with the times. But now, especially with Karen Hughes, the former general counsel of the World Bank, she puts out a lot of information on Twitter. She even tweets PDF files and links to PDF files. And she tweets it to officials. Now, I can predict that we're now in the phase where the courts will move and they will say, yes, tweets at officials and tweets at official bodies, even if they say, oh, we're not monitoring our tweets. So, well, why do you have a Twitter account then? You know, but if you have tweets at these places, yes, they will become official documents. We already have news media outlets quoting the tweets of President Donald Trump. So this means Twitter tweets, if a media organization can report it from the US president, well, you know, a part of government business and government communication to the public is already being done by Twitter. So yes, your tweets are court admissible, you know, especially in the US, especially in Europe, because, hey, Donald Trump is doing it. Thank you, Donald Trump. You helped us a lot, you know, but then all your official documents that you sent, you can now download if you download your Twitter archive. And by the way, I think I have to check, but it also should include all the messages that were sent at your address. This means all the troll messages. You've got a really nice and handy way to download all the troll messages. You know, and if Twitter doesn't allow you to screenshot them, well, you can download it or you can screenshot it from your hard copy on your hard drive. And by the way, if some trolls delete their accounts or they delete some death threats that they have sent you after they scared you, well, if you've downloaded your Twitter archive then and there, then you have the evidence, okay? And this means you can go back in time. I can go back all the way to 2016. I can prove all the tweets I sent about my torture. And more importantly, I can find, in retrospective, pretty much like the NSA, I can go back in time and I can pull out all the little trolls and their handles. All right, and their messages. And when I can prove in court, look, these people have been running a targeted harassment campaign. It's these Twitter handles. Well, we know now that all the intelligence agencies in Europe and certainly in the US, they are storing the IP addresses of all the messages. And then we think, great, thank fuck for the NSA and for their national archives or international archives at Bluffdale. We know that they're storing the information. Let's access it. Hey, they wanted to store the information to fight terrorism. Well, we do seem to have terrorism with directed energy weapons being fired, you know, by satellite systems and by base stations. And we seem to have coordinated, concurrent operations from agents where they're doing psychological terrorism against the very targets, the very same targets were being shot at from satellites and from mobile units. Well, if you want to find out who the criminals are who are running the online cyber operations, download your Twitter archive and go through at your leisure. You have all the time in the world because crimes against humanity do not have a limitation period. This means that you can do it now, you can do it on the weekend, you can do it when you can take some free time from your busy job. You can do it when you get really pissed off, or you can do it in 5 years' time when your company tanks and you've got the suspicion that it might be intel operations and financial sabotage. Then you can say, oh, hang on, I've got these downloaded Twitter archive messages, and I suddenly seem to remember that already 5 years ago, when I was tweeting, I seem to get these harassment messages. Well, chances are that was GCHQ or NSA. Go back, find the handle, screenshot the messages, put them into your court bundle, and request from the court to be shown the IP addresses. Which were the IP addresses sending those messages 5 years ago? We have the information. And should we find out that those were contractors of the NSA or contractors of GCHQ, or they were, you know, all going through the Tor network, because, you know, you are aware that the NSA stores the entire fucking chain, right? So even if you use server hopping and you use Tor circuit routing and all this sort of stuff, they still have all the information because they own the network, right? So if the packets knew how to go from A to B, the NSA knew how it went from A to B, and they have the information how it went from A to B. And it doesn't matter what sort of, you know, racing hare sort of track it took through the internet. They have all the fucking data. And thank God that, you know, they're using stupendous amounts of funds to build Bluffdale and the follow-on facility once Bluffdale is filled up to store all this information. This is a great international service that they're doing, you know, and the only thing we need to do is we need to access the information. And if they refuse to give us the information in the face of rampant terrorism, crimes against humanity, and high treason in the US, well, then we know immediately who to sue and who's doing the high treason and the crimes against humanity. And your defendants in court, their names will start with N and end in A everywhere around the world. You know, there we are. How many claims for financial damages can we bring against these traitors? And as soon as we have proven that they are traitors, they don't really have a security clearance anymore, and they don't have any sort of immunity or protection, which means that they fall under the bus, which means that they get into court and they get a death penalty, and then we can lawfully execute them, which is what my heart really, you know, is pining for. So to be able to shoot a head of NSA like Hayden or head of CIA like Brennan in the head in 5 years' time, all you need to do is download your Twitter archive now. Can you be bothered? Can you be bothered to ask your grandma to do it if you don't have the time? I think so. And the beauty is you can do this wherever you are in the world. You can do this if you're in Iran and using Twitter. You can do it if you're in China, if you use it, if you're in Trinidad and Tobago, and you can do it in Paris, in London, in Zurich, in Washington, D.C., wherever the hell you are in the world. You can literally grab the NSA by the balls today by downloading your Twitter archive. All right? That's the first step. And then after that, the work you have to do is really simple. It's manual. You just have to go through what were the messages. Remember, any sort of death threats, keywords you remember. Search your Twitter archive, find a tweet, screenshot it, put it in your court bundle. I'll teach you how to do it, how to take it to court. And there we are. You know, lots of grievances can be discussed and compensated in court. So, very, very important. This is what I wanted to show you. Now, let me just go through. I hope I gave you lots and lots of insight. Oh, yes. Okay. I know this video is dragging on, but remember, it's crimes against humanity, and we can come back to it at any time, now or in 50 years' time. So a 2.5-hour video is not that long when you're considering eternity. Okay. Now, I want to teach you something else. And I want to go back, and I want to, 114 people are watching us right now. Thank you, guys. Thank you. You are, already doing a service to mankind by just following now. But let me teach you another couple of tricks, okay? First of all, let me have a glass of water. So the following things you can do using this wonderful platform called Follow a Wonk. Let me just get back to it. Oh, yes, here it was. All right, so. Now, let me share my screen and show you a couple more tricks. And it's literally all I did is go to followerwonk.com, sign up for free, and you're good to go, right? So everything that I'm showing you, your grandma can do right now for free. No credit cards, no money needed. So as I said, you log into here, right? You can check your username, you can check other usernames, you can check the usernames of people of perps who are harassing you online, and you can find out a lot. Now, let me teach you some data analysis tricks. Already here for free, you get a lot of information. Now, this is kick-ass information, right? You can, if your perp isn't careful, you can literally see the building that they're sitting in. Or if you see that their location is jumping around very quickly, right? I mean, you can select a precise username and find them on here, all right? You have to be a bit skilled, but you can find them. Now, if you see that you can follow a person and you refresh the page, and I don't know, who is this? Somebody again, on, oh my God, is this Aaron Rusbridger? Yes, oh, look, here's a Guardian guy. He's also at, I think he's at, not Magdalen College. What's the other one in Oxford? The one, Lady Margaret Hall. I think he also is or used to be a fellow. Oh, yes, he's the principal of Lady Margaret Hall in Oxford, ex-editor of The Guardian. I just picked him up. He seems to be in London, close to Blackfriars Bridge right now, right here. Sorry, I didn't mean to click. I meant to zoom. Let me zoom in. Right, I can tell you that Alan Rusbridger is in London right now, next to Blackfriars Bridge. Incidentally, Blackfriars Bridge was the bridge where they hung or hanged the Vatican banker. He was called God's banker. I forgot his Italian name. Oh God, I can't believe I forgot it, but you can find it. So if you look at dead Vatican banker, God's banker dead, you'll find the mafiosi who was doing the work for the City of London, okay, Vatican's banker in London, and he was found hanged. I think he was found hanging off Blackfriars Bridge, and I think the sailor's knot with which he was found, hanging is called the lover's knot. So just now that we're here in London, let me just give you the tour. So Alan Rusbridger here, Guardian journalist and potentially an MI7 agent. Potentially, I don't know, is very close to St. Paul's Cathedral. So the area where he's now between Temple Church, St. Paul's Cathedral is the City of London. The City of London, the square mile, the extraterritorial area. And I managed to find that out by literally just following Alan Rusbridger. And he seems to be broadcasting his IP. Now, I'm sorry to pick on him, but, sorry. He's a journalist. Let me do some journalism about journalists, being really vulnerable. So here he is, and if I follow him and if I keep refreshing the page and it shows me, let's see, if I refresh the page, It could be that the data gets reloaded and I can see his dot move. All right. If the page refreshes and his dot moves at a human or car or boat speed, I know that this is literally following a person. If this disappears and he suddenly appears somewhere in Liverpool within seconds, I know that what's happening is that the IP is being hopped around. All right. So it means that British Telecom or whatever is being just using different IPs dynamically. That can happen. So I can literally distinguish dynamic IP allocation. Let's go back again. Let's go back. Oops, sorry. I didn't mean to go to Turkey and Israel. I just clicked on the wrong thing. Let's go to London. Let's go to London and let's see where he's now. So remember Blackfriars Bridge? This is how easy it is, guys. So many of you should think, holy fuck, City of London, different from London, you notice. City of London is an extraterritorial tax haven. Let's go down to Blackfriars Bridge, Millennium Bridge, where the fuck here, okay? Now, I don't find the gentleman here anymore, okay? Which means I'm kind of almost relieved, or maybe it takes time to load, okay? Now the IPs are different. So I'm relieved because it means that it wasn't actually his address. It was just being broadcast from maybe a mobile phone tower. But now I can find someone else here, just law, it says. And you can see these little squares. And these are people in London who are unfortunately broadcasting their address. Okay, so if you've refreshed the page, and you cannot find Alan Rusbridger anywhere near Blackfriars Bridge, you first of all sigh relief if you're in a live broadcast like me, because it means that you haven't revealed his private whereabouts. That's good. The only thing I revealed is that he's broadcasting his location, but he is now on a device that does dynamic IP allocation, and it just switched to something else. So woof, he's gone, okay? If I would have found him here, or maybe on the other side of the bridge, I would know he's on a boat. Okay, if I see that he's actually further down here or, further in town, it could be that he was actually on the street and the precision wasn't very high. And he just took, he just drove his car around this bend and he's now on this road. So bit by bit, you can work out if people are on a boat, on foot, in a car, on a bus, or if they disappear and reappear, it could be that he was actually, somewhere on a train and he went into a tunnel. So if I watch a person for long enough, I can figure out what they're doing and in what sort of vehicle they are. Fine. But now let's go down. I can also see that my followers, right, their active hours are here and there. And that follows because many of my followers or the people I'm following are in the US. So that's why 3 p.m. is 9 a.m. So a lot of them are active in the morning. Then they think, okay, time to do some work before I go off for lunch. And then in the afternoon, when they really cannot be bothered anymore here, lunchtime. This is lunchtime in the US. This is lunchtime, 6 p.m. You can see that they're off for lunch and then eventually they're active again. So you can spy on your followers, but you can do much, much more. Okay, you can see the most active hours of my followers. You can see the social authority scores of my followers. And then you can see the gender, although that seems to be false mostly. I think a lot of women, they look like men or they look like nothing, but it's actually women. So it's many more women taking part. You can see the follower counts. And this is when it starts getting interesting, guys. Okay, you can see the follower counts and these are the people who I'm following, and you can see the follower counts of the users who I'm following. And when you see these plots, you can literally spot bots. Okay. Now let's click, for example, here, 1 million. 1 million followers. Who the hell has 1 million followers? And this is a person who's following me in turn. So that's interesting. I follow them, they follow me. Okay. They are following 1 million people and they have 1 million followers and they've got a social authority of 84. They've been, on the account for 5.5 years. Now, already with these numbers, I can do some mathematics. I can say, well, if they've got 1 million followers, right, and they've been only there for 5 years, how many followers do they have to pick up per day? How many followers do they pick up per day? So let's do this calculation. I'll do it with you. Let's open the calculator. All right. So what does, oops, sorry, let me make it small. Here it says they are following, they themselves actively decided to follow 1 million people. So it's 1,025,238. This is how many people they decided to follow. And they did that in 5 years. So how many years do they, how many people are they following by year? So let's divide this by 5.48, and then on average, they are following 187,000 people per year. They add them by hand. This is what we're led to believe. Okay, if I've got 887,000, let's divide that by the 365 days per year. And this means that every day, and every Sunday, and every Christmas, they claim to have added 500 new accounts to follow. Do you think that's reasonable? Do you think that's reasonable? If you add 500 accounts every day for 5.5 years, you will be doing nothing but adding accounts. You know, nothing. So this is an automatized bot account. Okay, I can tell that from this parameter. I can tell that from this immediately. And then the same with the followers. Do you really think that you can accumulate 500 followers per day? 500 followers per day. I mean, no, this is automatized. These are bot accounts following him in turn. That's what this is. This is a bot account that opened operation in 5 years ago, almost, 5.5 years ago. And then it started following accounts and it started clocking up followers. And I presume that the followers are bot accounts in turn. And then in the meantime, he only has 19,000 tweets after 5 years. Well, after 2 years, I've got already 14,000. So by the time I will reach his account maturity, if the intelligence agencies don't kill me before that, then I will have at least twice as many tweets as he has. So let's check out this guy, Jake Cardiff 401. Right. It claims to be a half of Cardiff brothers, right? Who apparently also follows me. And they're on Spotify, Pandora, Apple Music. Our last 5 albums charted #1 independently. So what I can tell you is that these young artists signed up for a service whereby they are accruing followers. And of course, they are accruing bot account followers because they've been screwed over by the service that they paid for, right? But they also follow the policy that if they are following accounts back, their viewers think, oh, the star that I'm listening to really loves me. Look, he's following my account. Guys, this is done with bot accounts. This is done automatically. Okay? So here I've got an authorized account from these music artists. And then, here's probably their YouTube videos, and so on and so on. But you can immediately tell that they signed up for a service where you can buy followers. You can literally buy Twitter followers. It's a service like this. Let me show you. Buy Twitter followers. Yeah. You can get 1,000 followers for $5.80. So guess how much music artists can buy? How many followers? All right. So you know how I played this game, right? I just used follower wonk and I can analyze this distribution. I've got 2 people who've got between 500,000 and 1 million followers here. Let's click on one. This guy is in Turkey. And look, he's following 603,000 and is being followed in turn by 1 million people. But he only has 1,000 tweets. Do we really think that 1 million people are going to follow him for 1,000 tweets? I mean, it sounds a lot, but actually it's so easy to just, hammer out 1,000 tweets. if you've got Twitter for, you know, 2 weeks or months, you're gonna hammer this out. But he apparently joined in, you know, 8 years ago. He literally joined precisely 8 years ago, and he only has 1,600 tweets, but 1 million followers. Now, what the fuck is this? This is meant to be a cryptocurrency advisor. Well, never heard of this guy. No idea. Why would 1 million people follow him? Well, it's clearly not for his amazing tweets about inside information and, you know, with currencies. No idea. But his Twitter profile, a bit odd. He's leaning against this red and white lettering. Switzerland, Vatican Intel, no idea. But this is odd, right? Now, what I'm trying to tell you is you can go through this, you can pick up bot accounts, and again, you know, you can find out what's odd. You can compare their age to the number of tweets, their follower numbers. And if you're a data analyst like me and you love data analysis, you can use an Excel sheet and just play around with it. So what I did here, right, what I'm showing you here is just a simple Excel sheet. I used follower wonk to get the information about my followers, and I ranked them according to their follower numbers. So these are the people here. How many followers, how many people follow my followers, okay? Now, the account I highlighted here, you can see here with just 1,000 tweets, following 724,000, being followed by 1 million people, 8 years old, social authority high. And I call this Intel insanity. Because when I look at his numbers, right, he has 1 tweet per day for 8 years. This is pretty low, right? But the number of followers per day that he's picking up on average is 365. So for every tweet that he sent, he recruited 653 followers. This is impossible. This is insane, okay? And you can go through and you can calculate these numbers. You just you copy and paste these numbers, and then you put a formula here. Here, for example, the formula is I take the number he is following, divide that by the number of years, and multiply that division by 365. And then immediately I get how many is he following per day. And then once you do that, you can just copy the algorithm across. You don't have to type it over again. And then you can make this diagram. And then after I've done this, I can literally pick out bot accounts by eye. I've distinguished between bots and slight automation. I also can pick out accounts that seem to genuinely add people by hand. This one here, for example. Here, Freedom Motes. He looks genuine. He actually looks genuine as far as I can say. He's the chairman of the DC Chronicle, right? Okay, he's got 240, I mean, very equal numbers. So he might have, you know, done some automation. He might have some, you know, being a DC chairman of the DC Chronicle, he probably has, for his own prestige, he signed up to buy some Twitter followers. But otherwise, his tweets seem reasonable. He actually seems to tweet himself most of the time, right? Then I found another guy. He only has 22 tweets and 51,000 followers, and so on and so on. So you can go through your followers, but it's not just, this game is not just about, oh, you know, are these people genuine? Do they really care about my tweets or not? I mean, that matters too. But the real money is that by looking at stuff that's truly insane, utterly insane, right? Really egregious accounts. I had a really egregious one here. Let me show you another example. This is this one. Okay, what did they do? This is the followers per tweet. Yeah, okay. So here, for example, this account has only 12 tweets, right? And has been around for 7.5 years and has 50,000 followers. I think this was exactly this guy I showed you. Yeah, this guy, 24 tweets now. Now, someone pointed out that you can find his profile on Amazon. If you, yes, here it is. Let me show you that tab. Yes, I think it's this guy. Okay, let me share my screen. Because you can literally pick out Intel operations by playing this game. Okay, let me share my screen. And you can find more information. This is something somebody else sent me. So you can find that he's on Amazon and he is claimed to be an author, but he doesn't have any books. No books showing up. But when you read his text, Cleve Tidwell in Denver, Colorado, claims to be an executive chairman of global holding company, blah, 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 blah. But then in his text, Mr. Tidwell is a highly sought after international speaker, not sought after, S-O-U-G-H-T, sought after. Well, this is a really sloppy Intel account, right? They're trying to create, they're using a fake profile image, presumably, and they're trying to create a real chairman who's, look, he's publishing these books and he's on Twitter, but it's total nonsense. It's a facade. So the reason why I'm teaching you this in great detail is because if you have odd accounts, find them, use follower wonk, track them down, look at their parameters, look at what you can find out about them. And with a bit of research, you can really prove that you are being harassed and you're being stalked by Intel accounts. And you can, if you're lucky, you can find out their precise location. You can see them, walk to work if they're stupid enough to use their phone and take it home with them. You can actually do all this stuff, all right? And it's within your reach. And I'm telling you that what you can use as Joe Average, using these software tools, the intelligence agencies can do 500 times over. And this means that if you're listening to reports from victims, you can really understand what they mean. That, oh God, people seem to track me down in a cafe. And you know that you can do it with some people. Right? But Intel can do it, and Intel does it now. And these are the tools that they're using. And then finally, to finish off, because I've made this video long enough, I want to point you to the following thing, because as I was, okay, yes, here it is. All right. This is one of the things I wanted to show you. Let me share my screen. I want to point you to all the information that's available, right? That you can also use in court cases. Sorry, it's this tab. It is already known here. This is an article from the BBC website, and it says GCHQ leak lists UK cyber spies hacking tools. And I remember that WikiLeaks published the Snowden documents, and in there I remember seeing, and I've downloaded it, it's an Excel sheet and a table where they have every single code name of their little hacking tools. And here, this is the BBC reporting about that in 2014, 4 years ago, all right? And down here, you can see the WikiLeaks page, and they list the programs, all right? Here, for example. Other examples include Angry Pirate. This is a tool to permanently disable a target's account on their computer. Bombay. The capacity to increase website hits and rankings. Yeah, guess how they are pushing their own fake websites. Cannonball, the ability to send repeated text messages to a single target. This is how you're being harassed by these agents, when you're being sent fake email addresses. This is a GCHQ tool. Gestator, a tool to make a message, normally a video, more visible on websites, including YouTube. Glitterball, helps agents to carry out operations in Second Life and other online games. Here, Birdstrike, Twitter monitoring and profile collection. Yeah, Birdstrike. That's what it's called, right there. So when Twitter tells me, oh, hang on, some of your old tweets have your location information, it's fucking Birdstrike. Do you understand? And when I log into Twitter and it suddenly says my time zone is in the US, Pacific time, well, it's the fucking Intel agents using fucking Birdstrike. And if I can tell that, then frankly, Birdstrike isn't, worth bird shit, because they don't, take account of the time zone. I mean, come on, surely you can mask that. And so on and so on. So here it is. And this is just a tiny collection because, for example, I distinctly remember a software hacking tool called Squeaky Dolphin, because frankly, when I read it, I was rolling around the table laughing my head off, because I understand what cartel signaling for Squeaky Dolphin actually is, what it means in cartel jargon. And if you think about it for a little bit, you can probably find out where the innuendo is. And here is some GCHQ idiots actually naming their work, their hours and hours of, sweat and tears, and the software, they actually name it Squeaky Dolphin. I mean, the piss take in that is hilarious once you know cartel signaling. But I do remember that. So, if it's not in the BBC article, go to the WikiLeaks Vault 7 CIA hacking tools. All right? And here's the press release, the analysis, the examples, and frequently asked questions. And I think somewhere in here, you have to look around for a bit. I think you will find the Excel sheet or the table, which shows, I think, a total of 160 or 260 software hacking tools with their code name and what they did. All right, this is WikiLeaks. This is for real. And then please find that listing. Here, documents. Maybe it's on the documents. Find it. All right, go through this and find the listing and then put it in your court case. So if you ever experience the sort of stuff that Richard Lighthouse suffered from while our interview was Sabotage today, for example, your screen keeps going black, completely black, you can't see anything, that's a hacking tool. And you can look up in the table which hacking tool it is, whatever, raving monkey or whatever the hell they call it, Squeaky Dolphin. And yeah, you can go into a court and say, look, I'm being hacked by this hacking tool from GCHQ. Who could it be? And this is how we're going to get these people, And by the way, if your grandma experienced hacking, she will know what's happening. If you are somebody, you don't even have to be anybody important. I mean, you could be a Hollywood movie star, you could be a NATO general, you could be just Joe Blogs. If you're trying to talk to your mom over Skype and odd things are happening, look at the list and find out which tool it is that they're using against you. Wisen up, And be aware that once you collect this information, I'm not just telling you to freak you out. I'm not just telling you to just, make you be scared. I'm giving you tools and power back. And I'm telling you the reason why you should do this work is because it will translate into real life dollars in your account when you got compensation. Do you understand? And it is not true that court cases don't mean a thing. Court cases are very important. I think there was 250 million or more being paid because of Monsanto's shenanigans, right? Millions have been paid out because agents got damaged, and millions will continue to be paid out. All right? And this is real, people. Get organized, wisen up, know about the stuff. Don't be scared. And if they fuck you around, do not get frustrated. Today, I kept telling Richard Lighthouse, said, oh gosh, this is really frustrating. I said, don't be frustrated. We should be cheerful. Look, I screenshotted that this is happening. I put it into a tweet. And now that you go back and we finish the Skype call and we can't get onto Hangout, I'm going to go online and I'm going to teach everybody how to do this. And we're going to get back at them. And I think by now 500 people have seen my video, and 500 people know that this shit's going on, and I've given you tools. This is System-Judo, people. This is taking the inertia of the intelligence agencies. They can't just, come up with new hacking tools. This is why they're attacking Julian Assange, just because WikiLeaks has leaked this. This is why they're attacking Snowden, because he helped to leak this stuff. All right? These are our heroes. And now let's take what they have given us and let's take it further. Okay? This is where we're up to. So don't be frustrated. Every time you see hacking, you should think, yes, yes. This is what I was waiting for today on a Wednesday afternoon, to collect some evidence that in a few years' time, this will be the best investment of my life, to spend 5 minutes now recording evidence, burning it on CD, so it can't be deleted, because in 5 years' time, I'll get real cash for me, my children, and my grandma. That's what you have to think. This is what we're talking about. We are dealing with a global organized crime cartel. The World Bank has identified these people. We are having a currency reset. We are completely remodeling our financial institutions. We are shutting down the intelligence agencies. We are going after these fuckers. But you need to help us. You need to get your evidence decentralized at your end. You need to get your evidence into shape. All right? You need to have it at your fingertips. Download your Twitter archive. Start collecting evidence over, what's it called? Follower wonk. Yeah. And, you know, easy to remember. You won't forget that name, hey? With an O, guys. It's written with an O. And then get the evidence together between now and, you know, December, between Christmas. Do you know how much evidence you can collect using System-Judo, using the inertia of these massive intelligence agencies? I mean, by Christmas, you can have a multi-million-dollar lawsuit in shape. All right? So this was the Holocaust Working Group #1. Please tune in, because as we're proceeding, the working groups, I plan to make them really short and snappy, but fuck it, because the information I'm giving you is worth so much more. So you can watch them at little segments. I'll go back today. I need to you know, have a break, and then I'll write an index that you can look up the tips precisely at the minute mark, so you don't have to listen to 3 hours of video streaming. Okay, but I hope that today the live quality was good enough, the screen sharing worked, that you can go back, you can use these tips, and you can start fighting backs. So thank you very much for listening, and I will come back with, I want to teach you how to make a website. I want to teach you how to fight back against psychological terrorism and System-Judo that on them, and throw them down on the mat, and much, much more. So please tune in. And please subscribe. If you like the video, please say so. Please just make a YouTube account, just a random email to be able to log in and like my video, because the more you like it and the more people subscribe, which is for free, both of them are for free, the more YouTube values me. And the more I can stand up in court and say, look, so many people need my services, they need my videos, they like my videos. Please, if YouTube shuts me down, they are not just damaging me, they are damaging my followers who need this crucial information. But for me to be able to say that in court, you need to subscribe now. You need to like, and you need to undo all the agents who will press don't like, because this woman is destroying our income source. So subscribe, like. If you're on social media, please post my video, please tweet it, please follow me, please also follow other victims, retweet their videos, because we are working extremely hard, right? And we are dying, all right? We are in a live Holocaust. Never forget that. Even if I seem extremely cheery, I was actually late by 45 minutes today with the interview with Richard Lighthouse, because I was so tortured. So I had to call him at 10 minutes past 3 and reschedule and say, I'm sorry, let's meet in half an hour, because I physically cannot come online right now. That's the reality, guys, okay? This is a live war, a live Holocaust, and I'm living it every single day, all right? So don't get angry about just some pissing little hacking. Wisen up and System-Judo the fuckers, okay? Thank you for listening, and bye for now.